Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Welcome to another show. Today, I have a special guest with me, Germania, frequent. Um, I don't, what's your role? I mean, you're a YouTuber, but you're also something of a lurker these days, right? Professional YouTube lurker.
Yeah, I consider my profession stalking. I consider myself a professional stalker, and this is actually the Germania show now. So, Jefferson, you can see your way out. No, just kidding.
Yeah,
Then we would be down to
lurking.
one viewer.
Lurking was the gateway drug into your activities. I've since upgraded to stalking. Thank you very much.
Yes, I feel it's more riveting that way. But as far as being a stalker or a lurker, as you say, yes, I would lurk here and there because I stopped interacting with people. I stopped uploading and commenting on people's videos. But every now and then I would lurk and I'd say, okay, what's this guy saying? And then I'd be like, oh, I really want to respond to that. Oh, I really want to write a mean comment. Oh, but then they'll
I,
know that I'm stalking, so I can't do it.
I blame myself because I figure part of that calculus is you're like, you know what? I featured this new person I just found. Jefferson's just going to show up and rip it off. just take it, take the reins. Like, no, out of the way.
You know what is so funny?
That Lulska was mine. No.
I had forgotten about that until this very moment because I would always bring it up to you. For those of you who
Yeah.
don't know, I found this crazy right winger on YouTube. I saw nobody responding to this individual. So back when I was streaming, I was like, okay, I'm going to respond to this. So I made content out of it. And then I see Jefferson in my side chat saying, I'm going to have to take a look at this. Me, I only had probably, I don't know, 20 live viewers as I was responding to this crazy person. Jefferson the next day responds to this crazy right winger, and he's got like 45 live viewers. I was like, this son of a biatch. He stole my chew toy, and he
It was
gets more
Misha Petrov.
viewers.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. To be fair, though, that was never popular content. Like Misha Petrov, me covering Misha Petrov's content never really. I think because I would get really granular and be like, "This technically is wrong. This technically is wrong. That technically is wrong." I think people are
Yeah.
like, "Whatever."
Kind of dry stuff. I will say sometimes with politics, in my experience, it is that way. It's just like there's nothing really. Sometimes, depending on what it is, it's not a lot of fun. It's just no. That's like what you just said is incorrect. It's wrong.
Yeah.
And then a few moments later, repeat. Okay, what you just said there, that's also incorrect and wrong. Blah blah blah.
Well, I hate to tell you this because the content that we're gonna you previewed it. You already told me that off air, but yeah, the Darth Dawkins content that we're gonna be doing is gonna get a little dry like that because it's just false statement and then false statement and then false statement. Just crazy
Let
town stuff.
let me say, okay, so we're starting this here at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, right?
Yeah.
That's 9:30 Eastern for me. I happen to waking up. I woke up probably at I think 8:30, so an hour before now.
Yep.
And as soon
Me
as
too.
I woke up, my alarm dinged and said, "Don't forget you have a stream this morning." And then I thought to myself, "Oh, why did I agree to watch Darth Dawkins 9:30 a.m. on a Saturday when I could be sleeping or sitting outside? Why did I do this to myself?
Yeah.
Why?"
Yeah.
But
And one of these days, maybe I'll get a secondary studio that I can put out on my patio and just like sit out there while I do these. Although the birds will,
that'd be nice.
between traffic
Oh
noise and
yeah,
birds, to drive everybody crazy.
yeah.
I'd have to wear like a helmet, with all this
you
sound
would
carrying it.
you would need like a pop mic filter that would be like 3 inches long, but then it would probably sound like you were in like muffled, like talking to a pillow.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyways,
Let's say hi to some people here in the. So Cutlery Duck was first 7 hours ago. Somebody stalks like you do, Gur. Good to see a Cutlery Duck. Bellywood
it's
is
always
here.
nice to see a fellow stalker.
Yeah, exactly. We can compare notes and talk about the game. Fenton Mully is here. Good to see you. Matt, is this the Panda Wrestling stream? I mean, it could be.
I hope it is.
Ryan Rawlings is writing in Japanese, although I cannot understand what that is because my capacity to read anything beyond that's Nihongo. Yeah, it's bad. Anyway, good to see you, Ryan.
I wouldn't even know how to Google that unless I could copy paste it.
Yeah, if you can copy paste, you can always throw that into something like ChatGPT or that new one, Claude, and it will do a really good job of translating it. Yeah. Darth Bonson's here. Michael Deaton's here. Thanks for the reminder, Matt. Or Michael. I was looking at Matt down here. Matt is here.
Roughly 900 seconds ago. Wisconsin.
Yeah. John is here. Good to see you, John. He
He's
might be on the road.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt, but I was just going to say every time I see his name, his last name, or their last name, I think of a coffee. I'll take the John Fappiano.
Can I get that as a Fappiano? You certainly can. Like, oh my God. Wouldn't it be great if you just said that just to get in there? Like, yeah, the Fappiano, that's a little off menu, but yeah, we'll make that right up. And you're like, oh my God, what goes into a Fappiano?
They would think, you know what? I'm not going to argue. Sure. I don't know what it is, but I'll make it work.
Can you tell me what that is? Yeah, it's basically coffee and then all of the Baileys that you have. All of it. I don't know. I don't even know.
Calories.
I don't even know John's into Baileys, so that's not fair to him. But Spooky is here. But as I say, always say, Spooky is everywhere. So
yeah, that is true.
James
every time
Tucker
I stop, every time I lurk in the shadows, I see Spooky. I'm like, oh, damn you, Spooky.
Yeah, he's always here before everybody else. Like he was, like, hey, where have you been? Like, right here. oh shit!
I never left.
Yeah,
I'm in the closet right now.
cup of tea and a bacon sandwich. I never left. The rest of you were amateurs.
You left me. I stayed.
Clive Gordon is here. Good to see you. Captive Desk. Russ Wren. Ryan Rawlings. Lori Hayes is here. Good to see you.
Lori Hayes. Long time no see.
And then Breakfast Tacos is here. Hey, Taco. You covering my shit? Yes, I am. Yep. Get your own.
Oh, this from their channel?
Yeah. This is
I feel you, Breakfast Tacos. I feel you. You make content, and then Jefferson's got to come in and snatch that content and make better content than me about it. But it's beside the point.
I'm dropping a bomb here. Do I sound like Not Fox? Well, you do, except I at least posted links to your YouTube channel. I didn't post the link to the politics Discord that this comes from, but it's more of a shout out. Taco does a good job of like putting that out there. So
speaking of posting links to their respective sources, I went back and looked at the stream you and I did on your channel about Darth Dawkins, and I realized that I'm not linked. My channel name is not put in the description box, but you know what? The algorithm is already passed. It's too late. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I just thought it. I wonder why. Yeah, this is the reason why I left YouTube. I was like, Jefferson did not link me. No, I'm joking. I just thought about it. I was just like, oh, wait a second.
As far as I know, that linking thing in StreamYard is still broken. You have to go into the content editor in YouTube directly. So I usually leave those parts in my description blank when I kind of jot them up on StreamYard. Then go in and when I'm setting up monetization or anything like that, that's when I add it in there. So I'm wondering if that was when I wondered. I probably was like, do I put Germania or Ger streams in here, and then rather than ask you for clarification, don't put Ger. Oh, okay.
No,
I didn't with this one.
I'm being dramatic for comedic effect because I'm not funny, but sometimes I try to be. No, actually, I don't. I might get on Ger streams again eventually, but right now it's been 7 months since I've done a live stream over there, or anywhere for that matter. I think the last live stream I went on was Maya Atkinson's channel, and that was a lot of fun. That's the one. Wait, which one was that? Anyway, it was politics. It was a Ben Shapiro South Park response type of thing. It was fun. That was a lot of fun, actually.
Well, I guess then with that being said, and everybody said hello too. I don't know how many viewers are here right now. I can't see, but 49.
49.
Pretty good for the first thing in the morning. Let's shrink us down and then pop this back up. Okay, so I got criticism from.
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, I got criticism from my dad last week. He watched my last week's Saturday show from beginning
Really?
to end. And he was watching it in the living room. I was down there visiting, and he's watching it, and he's like, giggling along to some of my jokes. The whole thing was surreal. And I'm like, he's like, I'm watching your Saturday show right now. And this is like the day after. And I'm like, why are you doing that?
You're like, I would rather you
Like,
not. Please don't.
You are not my target demographic. I'm like, he's probably going to run into some things here that, and that's the one where like Otangelo shows up. Well, he comes into the live stream, and then he's like kind of baiting me with like, and I just keep going.
Oh,
And my dad's like, he's like, I can't really, he always watches YouTube on his phone. He's watching it all the time.
yeah,
Like, I
that's
can't really
my
see
dad.
you when you're in the small screen. Why do you do that? Because the big screen is this static screen from Discord. And I'm like, well, I make that big because if people are wondering who's talking, they can see the green frame
Right.
link on it. The bigger that is, the more they can get oriented with who's talking, who's saying what. He's like, oh, okay. It just seems
That's
kind of
when
weird that, yeah.
that's when you say, "Let's get you back to bed, Grandpa." No, no.
It's enough YouTube for you today. You need a beer and a lie down. Yeah.
What does your dad like? I'm just assuming that your dad's probably religious.
As far as I know, yeah, he's still a believer. Yeah. They don't.
But I guess he doesn't really take issue with stuff that you cover on your live streams, apparently, or does he occasionally say, "I don't think you necessarily agree or know about such and such a thing"? Or
No, we've never really gotten into it. We did once, and it was kind of out of nowhere, because my brother had brought it up like a year or two ago, and he's like, how come? He's like, yeah, he's like, well, Dad and I talked about this when they came out to visit us here in California, and I was like, he's like, have you talked to him about that? And I'm like, what about like atheism and stuff? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, no, it's never really come up. And then like we were talking about my brother, and my dad mentioned this. And I was like, yeah, he said something about that to me, and he wondered why it never came up. And I'm like, oh, I never brought it up. And Dad's like, well, I told him you never brought it up, so I didn't bring it up either. I'm like, great. So maybe he did think I was dodging it a little bit. I just didn't think that he would be all that interested in it, other than like if I would see something from like a Dan McClellan or Dr. Josh doing like a Bible debunk kind of, hey, did you know? Kind of showing that. And then he'd get, he'd kind of like, wait. Pauline, not all the Pauline epistles are written by Paul. Like, sorry, Dad, they weren't. Like,
well, it's not what it says in my Bible. Well,
and he used to study that stuff years ago, and he used to mix it up with other believers about doctrine and theology and stuff like that. But he's kind of got, I don't know. Just kind of like drifted away. But yeah, he was watching it, and I thought it was really kind of weird. And he was like, and then he's like, and then he like repeats a joke back, and I'm like, this is weird. Like, because the only time I see my dad doing that is if he's watching a movie and he hears a line of dialogue he likes, he'll repeat it. As soon as he hears it, he does that thing. Fortunately, he does not do that in theaters, only at home, for our benefit. But yeah, he was doing it with some of my content, and I'm like, I was like, I got to step outside. I was talking to a friend of mine that I had not heard from in years, because he found out I had one. He ran into my parents at a store, and they were catching up. And my dad's like, oh yeah, Jeff's doing this thing. And I'm like, because my dad loves podcasts and YouTube stuff. And he's like, yeah, he's doing this thing, and he's got a channel, and he's got X number of subscribers. And my buddy was like, really, Jeff, how long has he been doing this? And he's like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now. So he calls me, but his buddy calls me. He's like, I started watching. He's like, send me a link to your stuff. I send him a link, and I'm like, don't be afraid to tell me that it's not up your alley. And then like 20 minutes later, he calls me, and I have not talked to this guy on the phone.
Wow.
I think probably since before the pandemic. And he's like, I really wish I could have taken credit for this. He's like, what? He's like, I really like your stuff so far. What really makes me mad is that I didn't have this idea for you years ago, because we used to hang out, and I'd get a couple glasses of wine and start ranting about current events or something like that, and he'd always think like, he's like, Jesus, he's like, somebody ought to record some of your rants sometimes. But yeah, so he was really happy about it. And then I'm watching my dad do this, and I'm like, this is this is too close of a fan cycle. If I disappoint the audience, I'm going to hear it from my dad and this guy first. Like, it's too close to home. Like,
well, my goal is to get you canceled today.
Okay.
No, just
That'll take care of it. Yeah, I'll just hang up my spurs. Like, channel's over, folks. You know who also could get me canceled really quickly? Fabio. Hey, Fabio. Good to see you. And yeah, it is afternoon for him because he is in lovely Italy. Sorry for pronouncing it that way, Fabio. Italy. All right, so let's get into this one. There's not much going on here. Basically, the setup for this video is in the description. Darth was on. I was surprised he was in this particular channel because this is like the atheist presuppositional apologetics room that Taco has set up. Darth is in there, and this conversation takes a turn into kind of the Iran-Israel thing. It doesn't stay, not even Iran-Israel. This is the Israel Middle East fracases in general. And then it just descends into a little bit of like, I mean, it's kind of like accepted madness. Like, there's a lot of people in America that believe this stuff. So and we'll play it, and then but yeah, everybody yell at me in the chat if you can't hear this. The volume on this one might be low. I've got it as maxed out as I can. But if you need us to adjust our volume down so you can turn the video up, let me know in the chat. And yeah, I think that should probably do it. You got anything to say before we dive into this, Gary?
No, I'm just excited to be listening to Darth Dawkins on a beautiful Saturday morning, mid-morning at this point.
let's make this graciously brief for your sake, huh? Because I can tell the sarcasm is dripping off you right now. All right, here we go. By the way, Taco says, you guys can call me Reporter Tacos in videos like this. By the way, Jefferson. Yeah, he was, since he's recording this all. You don't have to call me Pope Taco. Can I call you Papa Taco?
Yeah, Papa Taco.
Yeah.
Daddy Taco.
Is there a chain called Papa Tacos? I mean, there's obviously, Papa John's Pizza.
There needs to be, but I don't think there is.
There should be. All right.
People should hold their breath that a lot more are going to come through.
Yeah, no, I'm not making any predictions. I just think that it's cool to speculate. And seeing as you're someone who's like,
the world's not going to be around that long. We're already in the last days.
Oh.
See, people are asleep at the switch. They're not aware of what's going on around them. Israel is back in their homeland.
You're a doomer. I didn't realize. I guess I should have from the Darth.
I'm a what?
You're a doomer.
What's a doomer?
Someone who thinks that the world's gonna end and shit. Like
only a boomer.
No, no, it's not, because when you say doomer, it's when I say we're in the end times, I'm talking about that in terms of human history, we're as very close to the second coming of Christ. Israel is back in their homeland. In the Bible, it says that Israel would be surrounded by its enemies, it's going to be on the brink of destruction. Okay. Now, Israel right now is not surrounded.
I'm pretty most of that. I don't know that that's actually in. I mean, other than being like there's passages I think similar to that in like the Book of Revelation, but the Book of Revelation is famously not about what most fundamentalist Christians think it is. So
right,
it's like, it's a revenge fantasy targeted at the Roman Empire for their mistreatment of Christians. It is not an end times prediction. These people cut this thing up and examine it from every angle like it's Nostradamus or something. And it's like, that's not what that writer was doing. That writer was nuts and angry.
Can I just say, only a boomer wouldn't know what a doomer is.
Breakfast is that Time Rabbit? I thought the first voice that sounded pretty close to Time Rabbit, but there's something about it that's not quite right. So maybe I don't know. I don't know how. I'm not aware of Tom Rabbit's socks, so his sock accounts. So,
but yeah, it's funny that Darth says, "Yeah, we're in the end times. We're in the last days." It's
right, just
because we've heard this at this point for at least 1,000 years since Paul.
Since the Apostle Paul 2,000 years ago. Yeah,
I
mean
2,000 years ago. That's right.
It's like he's been like any second it's coming back, and then he dies, and it's like.
I mean, depending on how you interpret the words of Jesus, even he was like, "Yeah, the kingdom of heaven is coming before any of this generation passes away. And it's like, Jesus, do you mean like within the next 2,000 years, or do you mean within our lifetimes? Because you said our lifetimes. I can't remember
Yeah.
the exact verse, but he was like, yeah, none of you shall perish before the kingdom of God comes, and blah, 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 blah. And I assume that would
Well,
be
and that's what he
the
had to
end
address
times.
in First Thessalonians, because they're like, Paul, about that last statement you made, some of us have passed away, and Jesus ain't back yet. So what
I want a
about them,
refund,
Paul?
Paul.
Paul's like, well, hang on now, hang on. They'll get
Give it time. Give it time.
they get zombified. Don't worry about it. They'll get popped right out of the ground just like the rest of us. We'll all float up to meet him midway in the skies, and we've been made physically perfect, or whatever. I don't know.
We'll
how
be
this
immaterial spirits, whatever that means.
You read an English translation of Paul. The thing that I would recommend to anybody, if you really want a good time, take like First Thessalonians, and especially when it gets into that kind of like, well, no, hang on. Just because friends and family passed away does not mean that they're like out of the loop. If you play that in like an audiobook kind of thing, it comes across as very crazy. Especially if you turn the playback speed up just a little bit. Not a lot. It doesn't have to be the like 1.5. I mean 1.25, just enough to ratchet it up. So you get into that Ben Shapiro like hyperactive rabbit pitch thing. It gets weird. I'm not saying that this is something that I do in my free time.
Yes, it definitely is. But I can't say much because this is one reason I had to take a break, because I was like, I am so sick of listening to this BS. not just Darth, but just so many Christians in general. Oh yeah, well, fundamentalists anyway. Oh yeah, these are the last days, and did you know that ever since they allowed gay marriage, the immigrants are coming? It's like, okay, what? What does this have to do with anything?
Kluge says, weirdest ASMR ever. Yeah, I never said that my hobbies were normal or well adjusted. Okay, let's push forward here.
On the brink of destruction. We're just seeing the beginning of the end. Okay. We're very rapidly approaching where there's going to be a one world government. Not that far away.
One world government. Okay. So the signs are there. Trouble in the Middle East, and there's been trouble in the Middle East forever. It's always been a harbinger of doom, and yet the doom doesn't quite come. Although, give Netanyahu a couple more minutes. Sorry.
Oh, let me tell you, Netanyahu, he makes George Bush look like a saint, and I didn't think that was possible.
Yeah, he's like George Bush and Cheney. Like, this is terrible, in the Middle East, and he's paranoid, and he keeps quoting the Old Testament and the parts that were supposed to be read quietly. The shit about the Amalekites, like, dude, keep it down low.
Don't say it out loud.
But this whole track of like, oh, there's problems there, so this affirms it, and then we're now we get into like one of Darth's big, one of his personal favorites. I haven't heard him rant about this in a while, but here he goes. He's going, well, we're on our way to a one world government, like, and
right.
Hasn't he said that he's a Star Trek fan?
Oh, I wouldn't know, because I don't. I try to avoid Darth Dawkins.
Okay.
Except for when I come onto your channel.
And I force it on you. Yeah.
Yes. Against my will.
There's a trend going on in this video where Gur emphasizes the abuse that I level at him anytime I have an opportunity.
What did I do in a previous lifetime to deserve this?
You discovered Misha Petrov, and now that content's banging around in my brain. So yeah.
You're welcome.
I only check in on her streams like once every like 4 or 5 months. And I'll just look at him and just be like, oh man, I don't even know how I recorded the last one, because most of the time it's just like, I'm not even interested in her take on this. This is just obviously wrong.
It's funny because as I'm sure you're in the same boat, there's a lot of people you probably like to hate watch. For example, I can enjoy hate watching Ben Shapiro, but I can't enjoy hate watching. It's just hate when I watch Darth Dawkins or Jordan Peterson, for example. Then it's like,
really?
This is not interesting. This is boring. I just want to bash my head through the nearest window. My head's coming for it. If I have to hear, well, yes, but you see, the woke moralist. I can't do a Jordan Peterson impression, but you get the idea.
I'm gonna admit this right now. I effing love his voice. He has the kind of voice. He's a little bit like
You're a
Otangelo.
sick man. Yeah,
Well, yeah,
yeah,
because
yeah.
anytime I imitate it, it's going to sound like I'm insulting them, and I do like that. I'm a little bit of a parrot, and then I pick up on like accents, and I don't know that I'm great at reproducing them, but I love to try. And there's certain voices, it's like, oh, I want to try that one on. So for whatever reason, and that, and on top of it, it's the discrepancy between the content of what he's talking about, like this kind of hateful, unhinged lunacy, combined with what is kind of a cuddly accent, that kind of
yeah,
Ontario Canadian accent is not normally associated. You wouldn't associate, like if you heard that rhetoric coming out of somebody who sounded like Sylvester Stallone or hell, even like Jack Nicholson, if they've got better yet, Franklin Jella, voice of evil, content is evil, it's just like, okay, that's just too much. But
I'm not familiar with that one.
Franklin Jella, do you remember the Masters of the Universe movie?
Oh yeah.
He played Skeletor in that, opposite Dolph Lundgren.
Oh,
the guy that really chewed at the scenery. Yeah, that's Franklin Jella. Yeah.
I was just thinking about that movie literally 2 days ago. Maybe
I used to try to suggest other stuff. Like, do you remember the movie Dave, the comedy movie about the guy that like is a stand-in for the president? Franklin Jella's in that, and everybody's like, "Who was Franklin Jella?" Like he dated Whoopi Goldberg for a while. They're good friends. Like, nope, don't remember. I'm like,
uncultured swine. These people.
He's in a 70s Dracula movie. He's fucking great. He was Dracula on stage. Fucking great. Yeah, Franklin Jella's awesome.
I learn something new every day.
Yeah, well, I'm here to teach people more about movies than they'd ever want to know. Fabio makes a good point here. There have been troubles in the Middle East since the Holy Roman Empire in the year 1000. Yeah, but anyway, my thing is like, Darth is moving into this whole one world government. I'm about 98% certain that he has cited, at the very least, he was a fan of the original Star Trek, like Kirk and them, probably because Kirk is like an alpha male. But the entire story of that, the Federation of Planets is one government.
Well,
it's a one world government that controls all of Earth. It's like that's how we that happens after we discover space travel.
You would think Darth Dawkins, like so many others, would see something that they think is immoral, like a one world government in a movie or show, would go, "Oh, this is trying to mind control us. It's trying to get us used to the idea of this concept that I consider evil, like a one world order." And you know what's so funny is, to my knowledge, the Bible does not say anything about a one world government.
It's only, he's going to get into the mark of the beast stuff from Book of Revelation, and that's where he thinks that it's a prediction of that, like a lot of people who misinterpret Revelation.
Oh, okay. I'm excited.
I'm
not even being sarcastic. I'm excited to hear this.
Yeah, we're gonna get into it, because I used to hear this stuff all the time when I was in like my early teens, from different Christians. So yeah.
Oh yeah. I grew up with the end times just forced into my cranium.
Yeah, they just loved it. Daniel says, Jefferson, is this the stream where Darth quits after getting muted and no one knows why he was muted? I told Taco that I thought Darth muted himself so that he could complain about Taco. This might be that one. Darth says, Charlie Kirk is a guilty pleasure, mainly because his ideas are so flawed and his delivery is so asinine that I can kind of air debate him in my head and feel like a genius. Yeah, agreed.
I get that.
Yep. Peterson's accent is so strange, the way he says God. Yeah.
God.
I like the ways, if you don't believe in God.
God.
How is that spelled? Gouwd? Like what? I don't. I can't stand people who pronounce it Jesus.
I thought they were talking about Vsauce, but now that you've said it out loud, because I saw the comment, but now that you've said it out loud, I see. Like, apparently I say Jesus wrong because I put too much sus on it. Jesus or something.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Maybe
I have an accent. What can I say?
Mine is the televangelist Jesus, that one. They
Jesus.
really all the mustard goes under the G. Get that launch.
Yeah, followed by SIZ. Jesus. Klooch. I like that name.
Sam Cedar, is that you? Yeah. Sam
Oh, I
Cedar
love.
is interesting.
I've really been eating up some Sam Cedar videos lately. That he's between Sam Cedar and Cal Selinsky. That's been my main source of information here lately.
Oh, you mean
Not my main.
is that-
Well, probably yeah, main source. I get other news from other outlets, but I really enjoy their stuff.
I don't. Is it Kyle Kulinski or Kulkinski or whatever? Is that the one you're? The other
I
one
might
you
be
mentioned?
misremembering his name.
Yeah,
think
I
it's
can't remember how to
Secular
pronounce his.
Talk.
Okay, yeah. I haven't watched too many of his videos. I've heard good and bad things about his content. And I know sometimes with like left wing channels or lib channels, you end up getting into this kind of purity stuff, and it's like, holy shit.
Speaking of which, I saw this comedian one time. Well, I saw a clip of this comedian. Can't remember what he said, but he said, if you're a conservative, all you have to say is, "Yeah, I'm a conservative," and all the other conservatives go, "Okay, good." But if you say, "I'm a liberal," all the lefties say, "We'll see about that."
So they do the thing that Jesse Plemons from Civil War. Yeah. Okay. What kind of liberal? And I'm like,
But is that the new Civil War movie?
That Civil War movie, yeah. Have you seen that? He's like, hey, look, we're American. And Plemons just look, he's got a gun on, he's got a rifle, and he's like, oh, okay, you're Americans, all right.
I haven't seen the new one yet.
I haven't watched it. I haven't seen it. I've just seen that. I've seen that clip because it keeps getting advertised in my feed, and every time I see that part, I really like Jesse Plemons. I've liked him ever since he was in Breaking Bad. But yeah,
I do like the director.
Yeah, Alex Garland.
Alex Garland, that's it. Ex Machina, Annihilation. He's done a lot of good movies. But anyways,
see, the movies are starting to come in.
Yeah,
I've been calling Jordan Peterson Captain Obvious for years, and that makes it way easier to listen to him the few times I could be bothered. Good point, Fabio. All right, here we go.
What the fuck?
Perfect.
That guy.
Beginning.
That guy is responding to the one world order, one world government thing coming up. So yeah.
So you're 26. So you're talking about another 35, 40 years?
I'm sorry, I'm very bad at articulate. I am 26, and do you think I will make it to your age before the second coming, or I won't make it to old age?
That's a good question.
Spooky.
Darth, if you're gonna if you're gonna respond to a comment, try to find a way to highlight. I don't know if there's ways that they can do that in these screens or not, but it's like Darth will kind of get like sidetracked by commentary. Yeah, but like despite Kerr being here,
Spooky still hasn't lost their sense of humor. I see.
Trusty Ape is still here. Good to see you.
Oh, hey, Trusty.
I wouldn't venture to guess, but in terms of human history, we're not that far away. That's the perspective that you have to look at it from.
No, you don't.
Okay. As to how many more decades it's going to take, it's not going to take that much more.
Oh,
Look,
good.
we're on the technological cusp where we're becoming, at least in much of the world, becoming a cashless societies. Okay?
Cashless.
Everything you buy now is scanned to one degree or another. Everything is being monitored. Okay?
Everything.
Yeah.
How much you want to bet he has a smartphone? Smartphone, and it's being tracked. Or he's online. Like, you're being tracked. Doesn't matter how good you think you are. You're being tracked if you're online.
He joined TikTok. I mean,
Jesus Christ.
he doesn't want to get tracked by by technology. Stay off of TikTok.
That's a funny concept. Him on
identifier.
TikTok.
It's a graphical symbol and a numerical identifier. Well, this is what the Bible is talking about, saying you won't be able to buy or sell anything without having the mark of the beast. Well, the mark of the beast is going to be a graphical symbol and a numerical identifier.
No. Oh my God. There are people that think that the mark of the beast is going to be a barcode tattoo on the back of your neck.
Yeah. I grew up with that.
Or it's going to be some kind of RF chip that you have in your
Yep.
wrist, and if you
Yep.
don't have that, like the idiocracy tattoo, tattoo. How come you don't have tattoo? The hearing this guy, like, okay, who is more likely to bring out a system like that? The federal government, a state government, or Amazon.com?
Right. It would be Amazon if anyone does.
So if we're gonna get some kind of one world order out of a universal scan system or something, it's gonna be Apple Pay or Google Pay or
It's
Amazon.
gonna
Pay, something.
it's gonna be some private corporation, not government, not a public thing. Like, it'll be privatized if that were to even happen. But if Elon Musk does it, they'll follow right along. All the
Oh, yeah.
right wingers will.
He's innovating, man. And only
He's
the
Tony Stark, bro.
only the real Americans get their barcode. Fake
Right?
Americans.
Only
the fake
patriots.
Americans have. Yeah.
Only patriots. If you don't get a barcode, you hate America. You're like the terrorist.
Anybody that doesn't have a barcode, you lefties out there, you'll be forced to make make all your purchases in rubles.
You'll be forced off of your vegan diets.
Oh wait, yeah, here it is. Alex Baptista. Yes, I also remember that book, The New Money System. It said barcodes were the mark of the beast. This is a decades-old conspiracy. Exactly, and it is just a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, probably 30 years would be my guess, maybe longer.
Minimum 30. Yeah, I think. It's been in some, if it wasn't like the new money system or something like that, it was at least connected with tracking devices or something like that. Even before that, like, that mark of the beast thing, that's going to be, you'll get the number 666 tattooed on you, and that means you're a citizen. If you don't have that, well, you're lion food. Like,
right.
It's like lion food.
There's this Jack Van Impe Presents. I don't know if you're familiar.
I know Jack Van Impe, yeah.
Old he's super old, as is his wife. And I don't know if they still do this, but they would put out little movies and promotions about how barcodes are going to be the mark of the beast. And if you look at a barcode in some sort of matrix system, it comes out to be 666 and just all kind of just wild conspiracy stuff, all from the 90s, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Jehovah's just knocked at my door. Should have invited them to listen to the stream. I was just going to say, if they're still there, tell them I said hello.
I made the mistake once. I was living at a new place, and the second week, Jehovah's Witnesses knocked on my door, and I said, "Thank you, God. Thank you." I don't know if you ever saw the movie Nobody, when Bob Odenkirk is sitting on a bus. He's having a bad day, and these people that are up to no good are knocking on the bus to get in, and he narrates and says, "Please, God, let them enter this bus." That's how I felt when the Jehovah's Witnesses came to my door, but I regretted it for as long as I lived there, because they would not stop knocking on my door after that. But I finally stopped answering, and they eventually stopped.
if you really want to get them good, and like you just saw them, like, look, I believe in birthdays and Christmas, so you need to leave. And then when they leave, wish them a happy Hanukkah. They hate it. They just hate holidays so much. Yeah, they hate any holiday. Like, there's a reason so many you have to do, like, I mean, normally it's done to be inclusive. They'll do like a holiday party or a winter party, but in some cases, in certain work environments, if you've got like just a handful of Jehovah's Witnesses, they're like, well, if we call it a Christmas party, an office Christmas party, even casually, or put that in the invite, the Jehovah's Witnesses won't come.
Well, I did.
But if you put harvest or winter, they're like, oh, I can attend that. And I'm like, really?
Wow.
We're all here kind of celebrating the same thing, which is basically, it's cold. We use lights and alcohol and food to cheer up.
Right. And we want to come together to celebrate, I don't know,
right,
unity. I forgot what I was going to say. There was something I was going to say about that. Oh, it'll come back to me as soon as the stream ends. I'll be like, oh, I remember this nugget of wisdom that I had to share. The only thing that I had to share. Oh, I do see in the comment in the side chat, Jack Van Impe is dead now. I didn't know. I was probably 14 last time I saw one of his shows.
Yeah, I thought he had passed away.
against my will.
Mr. Anderson is here. Good to see you, Mr. Anderson. Like some kind of digital
Mr.
currency, perhaps.
Anderson.
Yeah, it used to be. I remember as a kid, it used to be some kind of tracking device, whether it was going to be a tattoo or just a mark or whatever, or just an identifier. Like you had to have a necklace, or you had to have a ring, or you had to be branded with something. And then it turned as technology developed, they're like, oh, okay, well, if it's an RFID chip the size of a grain of a grain of rice, that they can make it subdermal and scannable. There it is. I bet that's the mark of the beast. And they're like, no, the mark of the beast is fiat currency traded digitally across global markets. Like, okay, so which one is the mark of the beast? All of them? None of them? Like, what's going on?
Somehow AI is going to be involved. I get this feeling they're going to start saying, okay, AI is going to be the thing that invokes the mark of the beast. And
Yeah.
it all goes downhill from there. Because we're living in the end days, the end of time.
Darth Bots. I always open my eyes as big as I can and give the most teeth-baring fake smile I can, with all too enthusiastically try to convince them to come inside, with a hard emphasis on come inside.
It's just like when you see a church sign that says Jesus is coming. Every time I see a sign like that, I think Jesus has been coming for a long time now. Dude's got some stamina. Woo!
Uh,
Okay. Now, I'm not saying the barcode is the mark of the beast. I'm just saying this is a precursor to it.
oh, okay. Sure, that sounds more sane.
Gars, could there be? I mean, not Gars. Sorry, Darth. Similar
Gar.
to somebody else. Could there be multiple marks of the beast, and it's like multiple of them that just slowly play into each other, like the barcode?
No, I
phone.
think what's going to happen is there's going to be a one world government. It will not dissolve nation states. It'll be like a United States of the world. It'll be centered in Europe, probably some type of manifestation in the near future of the European Union. Okay. And
None of that's
all
in
it's
the
going to
Bible.
take is a couple more acts of terrorism before even more draconian security measures are implemented.
More draconian security. You mean like permanently shutting down any potential illegal access through the southern border of our country?
That was my thoughts. Is I bet you he's thinking, well, the borders. We don't shut down the borders. We're gonna get a new world government.
Because I'm pretty sure right here he's going to be like, back when I was a kid, we didn't have to use a driver's license to get on a plane. But what he wants to make, but he
Back in
wants
my day.
anybody that lives south of Texas, south of our southern border, needs to be chipped, stamped, marked, cataloged in a database, ready to be pulled up on our systems. Like, unbelievable. They can have a one world government, but the United States will be the world's Texas. Like, oh God.
Oh man.
We just don't participate. We don't participate in that stuff. Like,
Just when I thought America couldn't get much worse, we become Texas of the world.
When I was a kid, you could just get on an airplane.
See?
You didn't have to show a driver's license.
driver's license.
Okay. Now you have to have.
Depending on where the plane was going, you did still have to have a passport. I don't know if he's aware of that. Like,
and ultimately, I don't know if this is relevant, but this is just a appeal to tradition or something of that nature. Because you could say, well, back when I was a kid, I didn't have to wear a seatbelt to drive. It's like, well, that was then, this is now, and it's better now because more lives are saved. So what's your point?
I didn't have to wear seatbelts back when I was a child. How much polio did you suffer from? Oh, all of it. All of it.
All of them.
That's kind of what I thought. Like,
polio 1, 2, and 3.
Back in my day, you had a ruptured appendix, if that's what you want to call it. You just pass away and die.
Back in my day, women belonged in the kitchen making me sandwiches.
Men were
good
men.
Lord intended.
Men were men. Women were women. And sheep were terrified of the men. Some of the women.
And I tell everybody to wake up, but then anytime somebody says something I disagree with, I say that they're woke, and I don't realize the connection there.
It's the one advancement in modern society they love. They can just distill all the stuff that they hate into one word.
I know, and they can never freaking define it.
Have special at least in the United States, you can't get on a plane now without a special driver's license, not just an ordinary driver's license.
Well, true. Yeah.
What I think they're doing that for, when they're like, you need your vaccine passport, you need your passport, your ID, your driver's license, your birth certificate, social security. Eventually, they're going to put all that into one thing.
It's all going to be in one.
I mean, they've talked about doing a universal ID. It's incredibly expensive. That's the big thing that keeps them from doing it, is that it's a massive expense. If it happened, it would be do you know how many times this is a problem with people's conception of how the government works. I work as a bureaucrat for a very small, very focused group that deals with controlled substance database kind of stuff. You know, that's basically what AJ's into like well, I probably, well, I'm not really ghosting him or doxing him in that sense, but there's lots of this kind of stuff in medical stuff, you know, working with database systems and tracking medical records and all that kind of stuff. My job is connected with that. And people will call us and ask me to fix the driver's license. This happens, right? Or they'll ask about other licenses, because and then when we have to tell them, like, well, I'm not connected with that. That's going to be, you know, that's a social security issue. That's a DMV kind of thing. You need to go do that. Oh, I just thought you guys were all connected. Like, I mean, we're all technically part of the state government, yeah, but we're not connected in that I do their job for them, and occasionally they do mine. That's not how anything works, anyway.
Right? Like, you don't go to the post office to get your taxes done.
Yeah, exactly. But they'll just be like, "Well, yeah, I was here. Could you maybe register my pets for me?" I'm like, "That's a local thing, sir. You're talking to, you know." Yeah.
And I mean, isn't a passport basically a universal ID?
Well, in a way, kind of. I mean, they started putting like RFID things in those to make them easier to scan through customs. And I think the U.S. was a little slow. I can't remember if we were slow to adopt it. Who was the first country to pick those up? But no, because it's not because it's issued by the State Department and it's federal ID. It's recognized for international travel, and you can use it as additional identifying, you know, stuff here.
Right.
But it cannot replace your social security number.
Okay, no, I see the point.
Yeah. So, I mean, and the whole talk was like, wait a minute, instead of having the states try to administer driver's licenses and IDs and all this other kind of stuff, why don't we just do one federal ID where we combine a driver's license as a social security identifier into one card, and then you get that from the federal government and you're done. Coast to coast, state to state.
That sounds better. It sounds convenient. I support the new Antichrist overlord if they're going to make things this easy. I'll take the mark.
Oh, okay. Well, this guy Satan showed up. Yeah, but his platform is so convenient. Have you seen the innovations that guy's got on there? I mean,
awesome.
Yeah, he smells like brimstone. I mean, he's a little bit weird with the whip and stuff. And the hooves, my God.
Ugh,
creepy.
He should really go get a pedicure.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, this universal ID thing is great.
Sounds convenient. I mean, it's probably a pain in the rear to get it all established, but once it's done, I think, man,
yeah,
if you can get it for 10 years, like it expires in 10 years, I think it'd be worth it.
Yeah. If it was set up just like a passport, where it's like, okay, 10 years you got to update, you know, or whatever.
You guys are obsessed.
Bart's here. He says you guys are obsessed with Darth, all caps. I can't. Gur is not obsessed with Darth. I don't think that I'm speaking for you there.
I wasn't going to throw you under the bus, Jeff.
I'm obsessed with Darth. Yeah.
Bart, man, I woke up today and I said, why did I agree to do a stream with Jeff about Darth Dawkins today? Do I really hate myself that much? And then I realized, yeah, I do kind of hate myself. So yeah, I deserve it.
Could have done something more destructive, like, you know, start your morning off with whiskey or something like that. But no, you decided.
That's true.
I'm gonna talk to a guy and watch a Darth Dawkins video. Oh, F my life. You got it. No one asked you who you work for. I didn't say anyone did, Bart. Jesus Christ, this guy is a mental midget.
Yeah, very
good
dense.
Lord.
Nobody asked you to say words or do a stream. Well, yeah, but that's what I want to do.
I get it. Put someone else down so you don't have to notice your own flaws.
Oh, he never criticize anyone or any idea, Jeff.
Never. Let's see here. Is Barth aware of self-deprecating humor?
Probably too
And
insecure.
Okay, all right. And I'm wondering if he understands that I engage in it. Some comments have said to a fault.
And if we go by this logic that if we put anyone down or criticize anyone, then we're just projecting and we're making ourselves feel better, then you can never criticize any politician or celebrity or activist or anyone.
And really, it's not so much like, look, I feel better that I'm not as crazy as this guy, which Bart seems to be kind of implying is the case, right? That we can do this to Darth. Maybe we should actually pity him. Like, no, because he's a jerk.
No. I have
The reason
ahead.
you laugh through these points is so that you're not terrified. Because if somebody this mindset is in control,
you will cry.
Yeah, you don't want somebody who thinks even like a fraction of these things to be in control of a button that fires a powerful missile. Unfortunately, we live in America, and a lot of people who have that kind of authority do think like, Captain Crazy here. So
it's important to speak up about it. I never
Bart's
noticed
lying here.
anything you all do. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I never notice anything you all do, lol. Just saying. But you did notice my obsession, so that's factually incorrect. You just contradicted yourself, Bart.
Yeah, Bart.
Now I really feel better about myself. You're a moron. I
Boom.
am smart.
You just got pwned, bro.
I'm smart. SMRT, smart.
Smart.
Unique identifier.
Yes.
The precursors are already here. If you like, for example, if you're from the United States, you have a social security number. Now, it was written into law. It was never supposed to be used for identification purposes. Oops. Guess what?
This is oops. It was never really intended for identification purposes, but because it was so damn handy, they started doing that. There wasn't anything written into the Social Security Act that precluded it from being used as an identifier. It was a number built for the Social Security Administration for the dispensation of your funds and the tracking of your earnings over time. So
yeah, it's just is what it is.
Yeah.
Are we supposed to go back to trading sheep for goats? Like, I mean, do we just want to stay in the past, or do we want to progress and advance as a society?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, we need to go back to it. Yeah, okay. So, Darth wants a smaller government that consists of lots of small governments and administrations doing lots of different IDs and paperwork. So you got even more crap to keep track of.
Right?
Yeah, it is. It's like, okay, how did you get less government? You actually got more government. Keeping like, well, I want to be able. If I have a problem with Illinois, I want to be able to sick the government of Wisconsin on them. Like, oh my god,
Civil War 2.0.
About time Wisconsin took out uppity Illinois. Stephanie Holmes says, "Oh, it's the amazing Gurr." Hey, Stephanie, how you doing?
Hello, Stephanie. I do miss everybody. Since I've been away, I miss everybody. I see Stephanie, I see Spooky, even Blessed Be He. I don't know why I would miss Blessed Be He. But as soon as I saw their comment, I was like, oh, Blessed Be He. I don't think they like me. But to be fair, I don't like me either.
Wow. See, that's self-deprecating humor, Bart, right there. I think Blessed Be He, when they came in to the live chat, they were like immediately saying hi to Maya. Because I think that's where they
joined the stream. Oh, the side chat.
But yeah, just in the side. Yeah, I think Blessed Be He is a regular watcher and troller of Maya's content on Sunday nights. I could be wrong about that, but it's
good content over there on Maya's channel.
Michael Teaton bawling about censorship. That's a timeout. Damn.
Irony is delicious. What can I say?
And this is how they turn on each other. Like, God damn it, stop fucking with my chew toys.
Give it back. It's not your turn yet.
One of these days, I'm going to do a Gurr and just remove all the wrenches, like you did.
Oh yeah. Well, first you got to give everybody a wrench,
and then take them all away.
And then you got to share your screen as you're taking it away.
I probably won't do that. I won't do that. I'll do it the different way where they all come back and like, and nobody's a mod here. Like, yeah, not for now. Because people are taking other people's chew toys from them. So I had to just remove it.
Well, I don't recommend you do it because you actually have a good channel and a good community.
I have
With
good
mine,
minds,
I had nothing to lose, so I was like, "All right, you get a." I was like Oprah Winfrey, "You get a wrench, and you get a wrench. Everyone here gets wrenches." And then after a few minutes, I was like, "All right, everybody, watch the screen as I take it all away."
I remember that. That was hateful. Jay's channel used to be like that. Everybody had a wrench. Well, but in Jay's case, what he would usually do is if he knew that if back in the day when Jill would come by and troll, he would try to make sure that any woman that was in the live chat had a wrench so that Darth
Oh.
couldn't block them.
Yeah,
That was just
Jill.
a tax. So yeah, because Jill would try to block them or whatever. Or
Wow.
he'd just get rid of them. Michael and Titan hate seeing me have fun. Yeah, Titan's quick to do that. They run a Titan runs a tight show.
That's true. Titan runs a tight side chat.
So weird how many evangelicals hate the idea of some powerful entity knowing everything you do and then say God is great.
That is a great point. That's a great point, actually.
Spatchcock doesn't trust me with a wrench. I have an anvil. That would be true. I thought I gave Stephanie a wrench back a while ago. I'm not sure. Let's see. Titan is wrenched just about everywhere. Yeah, Titan is he's like a universal mod.
Yeah, that should really be his name, the Universal Mod.
Universal mod.
You'd probably go to some booktube channel, obscure booktube channel, and Titan would be there. It would not surprise me.
You could call him the Unimod. Wait, that's terrible.
Yeah, Unimod. Actually, I like it. Sounds like it belongs to like the Universal Soldier lore or something.
Wasn't that called the Unisol? Wasn't that the program, the Universal Soldier program? Unisol? Sounds like a cleaning product.
I think so. It's been a minute.
God damn it. We need to concentrate on this video. So
Yeah.
move on to Saturday.
I haven't took ADHD meds and they're not helping.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
check out the blog. Google it. It was not supposed to be used as a. It was only supposed to be used for the purposes of the Social Security Administration.
Not only, but yeah, it was. They didn't preclude that it couldn't be used for other things. They just didn't plan on it, and they started adapting it later on. And there was, from my understanding, when I looked this up, because I think Social Security Act was passed in like 36. The number was originally just meant for the administration of the system, but they did not write anything into the law that would preclude them from using it for other identifying purposes. And as time went on, they started doing that. So he's pieced together some weird American history here.
Real quick sidebar. The dryer in my house just started. I don't think it's loud enough to come in. You don't hear any.
I don't hear it.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay, good. Just checking. Otherwise, I was going to be like, Mrs. Kerr, stop doing your womanly duties. Turn off the dryer.
Womanly duties. That's why you're not on camera, because she comes in and brains you with a skillet.
Yeah. She's probably holding a weapon right now.
That's just life with you. On my channel launch stream, I tried to wrench Titan and accidentally banned him instead. Has he been back since, Mr. Anderson? I'm wondering if he.
I've done that before, not with him. I don't remember who it was with, but I tried to give somebody a wrench, accidentally banned them instead. I was like, oops, whoops a daisy.
Yeah. Gourmet, it's only a problem if the dryer started on its own. That was my reaction initially. Like, hey, the dryer started. I'm like, by someone, or do you live in a haunted house?
That explains the expression in your face when I said that.
Yeah.
But now it makes sense. Yeah, the dryer just started.
If there's other humans there that can that explain it, fine. Yeah, it's no longer spooky, but yeah.
Actually, there's nobody here. I'm not even here. Okay, let's get back to the video.
It was not supposed to be used as a personal identifier.
Darth, I couldn't get a job because, long story short, I lost my social. I had an ID, and they're like, "All right, you have an ID. Do you have your social?" I was like, "I don't have that." I'm like, well, we got to make sure this is you. You can't get this job.
Yeah, you got to go to the Social Security Department and get them to reissue you a card.
You need it for taxes, guys. It's part of adulting.
Don't recommend it. Adulting sucks.
It's all coming.
It's all
People
coming.
think it's a joke.
It's been coming since 1936, apparently, or since 06, depending on what date you think this all started. Like,
depending on what time, depending on when each individual got into this line of thinking is when it started.
Yeah. For Paul, it was when God raised Jesus from the dead. He's like, oh, end times are here. And then,
Right.
2,000 some years later, it's like, Paul.
And for Jesus, it was before
Paul.
he died.
Yeah, exactly.
Before he took a 3-day vacation. Such a loving thing to do.
Well, it was a working vacation, Gur.
Like everything's taxed. You gotta first your paycheck's taxed, and then when you go to withdraw money from the ATM, there's like a $4 fee, and then when you die, there's a death
Well,
tax.
that's only because you're using an ATM that's not your bank. You're not going to get charged. You're not going to get charged if you use an ATM that's from your bank.
These guys talking about this. It's hilarious. In some cases, if you have a good credit union and you use another institution's ATM machines, they'll try to charge you a small fortune, and your credit union, if they're good, will just tell that bank system to F off. Mine used to do that all the time. It was great. In fact, there was a system in Japan when I was in Japan. Mine worked at like every. I can't remember the name of the bank, but my credit card or my ATM card worked fine in any of them. But I would get these notices like, such and such bank in Japan attempted to charge you $15 for like a wire service. We denied this. It's fine. Like, and I continue to do. I never paid that fee. They blocked it every time.
Well,
so
good. That's ridiculous. $15.
It was, I think, because it was like an international wire rate. They probably should have been paid. Like the fact that I was getting away with that seemed to be something of a little bit of a loop. But I mean, Darth's not technically wrong here. If you're using your own, you usually don't get charged. I got a new dishwasher. It has downloadable wash cycle programs. There's a community making them. Well, see, that
All
would be
right.
different.
Now I'm a boomer because that just sounds unnecessary. Back in my day, you just pushed a few buttons.
I wash my dishwasher. I activate my dishwasher with my phone. Like it won't be long before kids now, when they're our age, they're like, yeah, I use my phone to wash my dishes. And the hell does that mean? To control the machine.
Does your phone have arms?
Hopefully that's what it's going to be. And we'll just trade in our tablets for a little robo and like, hey, will you get that for me?
You know what? I'm not going to say but I'll just say this. I could think of some things that a phone with arms could do, but I'm not going to go there.
I'm hoping that if this happens and everybody's got like a little AI unit that's like a little robot, that's like a multi-purpose machine, does your dishes, tidies up the house, like a Roomba and everything, but you can get it to engage with people. And like the AI, it's like, okay, hey, AI bot, Jehovah's Witnesses are at the door. Initiate protocol spatchcock, and the machine opens the door. Merry Christmas.
It would go up to the door.
Won't stop talking about holidays. Yeah, everything's about holidays and how much it loves gambling. And they'll have to leave. Like, we can't talk to
Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. Where you going? Wait, come back.
You programmed your AI bot to troll J-dubs? Like, I mean, only a little, but yes.
What do you think it was
surprising
built for?
Mr. Anderson says, I don't have a social security number. Then again, I don't live in the US. Oh, well, there you go.
Well, that makes sense then.
Bart says that Darth is always right, so you guys are just in denial. So, Bart,
you got me there.
Yeah, is Darth right that it's the one world government's coming and everybody's going to get chipped, tattooed, or something, and then a charismatic person in Europe takes control of 10 countries and runs the whole show? Like, this is just some kind of pre-trib, like, nonsense.
Darth definitely strikes me as a pre-trib type of guy. I don't know if he is or not, but he gives me those vibes just from a little bit I've endured from listening to him. Yeah. But I mean, I think it would make more sense to be post-trib, because then all the signs are there, and then all you have to do is wait for Jesus to come back, unless they cut your head off because you didn't take the AI mark of the beast or whatever.
Right. Yeah. You'll have to live underground with the rebel community. Yeah, it'll be a little bit like the future scene, the war sequences in the Terminator movies. That's your reality. Darth is always right, like dinosaurs on the ark, right? Yeah, or when the flood didn't kill any children because God closed the wombs.
Oh God, who's saying that? I've heard IP Inspiring Philosophy say that God, it's likely that God didn't kill children in the flood, and then later on in the video he says when God kills children, he doesn't kill them in the same way we think about it. He just relocates them. So I'm like, well, if you don't believe God kills children, then because
Yeah,
he
why?
relocates them, then why even say he didn't relocate children in the flood? It makes no
God,
freaking sense.
first of all, God would never kill a child, and if he did kill a child, it's not killing in the way that you and I mean it. Like,
Yeah, it's like, well, okay, just go with that option then. I mean,
yeah, yeah. Why did you open with the first part? That doesn't make sense. Yeah.
right? It's like, I don't know, makes no sense. I don't know how we get on that, or how I went there. Oh yeah, it was dinosaurs on the ark, and then dead children because
Yeah,
God drowned them.
Darth is always right, according to the Bible.
One thing I like to ask Christians every now and then is I'll say, hey, out of curiosity, how many men, women, pregnant women, and children and disabled people do you think God killed in Noah's flood?
Yeah. Well, none of them were pregnant because God opens the womb. So what he did was he made them all barren for at least a generation, and none of them mentioned this or are concerned about it at all. And then the
Yeah.
flood hits. Like none of them are like, why aren't we having kids? Even though in the beginning of that chapter, Genesis chapter 6, it's talking about the problem with these people becoming like they're belligerent and numerous.
Right, and
Like
they
everything,
keep multiplying.
yeah, we keep multiplying and everything that we do is evil. So it's like, okay, it's kind of implied pretty heavily right there that we're breeding like rabbits and we're naughty. And so
Right.
and God needs to give the earth a little bit of a scrub. So yeah.
I always found that story so funny because it's like God being a perfect creator created an imperfect creation that messed up so bad that he had to kill 99.99% of them. And now he's mad again a few thousand years later because we're still a terrible creation of his, but we get blamed for it even though we were made this way.
Yeah. Blessed Be says, I like Jefferson. I appreciate that. I don't want him to block me. I'm probably not gonna block you. Wow, just wow. Congrats. Another atheist echo chamber channel. Why did you leave YouTube, Gar?
I think people call me Gar because they know I hate it, just like you hate being called Jeffy.
Yeah, that's the one.
But I have a Catholic friend on YouTube, and he unironically calls me Gar. And I'm like, it's Gur. There's no AR in the name. Well, technically, there's no ER either, but it's like, it's Gur. Stop calling me Gar. And then ever since I said that, people are like, hey, it's Gar Mania. I'm like, shut up.
Isn't a gar a fish?
I think it is. Yeah.
I think it's a great big ugly carp looking thing too. So yeah, that's not
That's definitely not me.
Yeah.
I'm not a fish. Why did I leave? I needed to leave YouTube. I don't even know why I'm here, to be honest with you. I took a few months of a break, and then I would check in on certain streams, and then I saw Jay Pasick was streaming, and that was yesterday, and that was fun listening in.
Yeah.
And now here I am. But I like coming to Jeff's streams. Between Jeff and Maya, also B.S. Lewis, every now and then he'll do a stream, but he's like Jay, he'll private the stream like a day later.
Oh, that's
So
what
you
he's
never
doing.
go
Okay.
back to it. Yeah.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does some crazy stuff. I like that content. That's
Yeah. He's
kind
good.
of trolly.
Yeah.
Nicholas says, just wait. Someone in Florida will try the defense that they relocated the school kids. Yeah.
Oh, I'm waiting for it. It's gonna happen. I have a
I'm glad he
feeling.
didn't go. I'm glad he didn't get into a lot of details with that hypothetical because I know exactly what situation he's talking about there. And yeah, it is really kind of only a matter of time. Yeah, I mean, Guar makes sense. Guar's kind of a cool.
Oh yeah, that's a rock band too.
Or Gore Mania.
Gore Mania. Yeah, I do get
Yeah.
violent when it comes to apologetics. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know
Brian
what I'm
says,
saying anymore.
I'm here because I hate Jefferson Spatchcock, and I can't wait to hear Darth put him in his place. That's why Bart's here.
Bart has already beat Darth in this regard.
Blessed be, he says, Jefferson has good arguments against that idiot Darth, who is not a real Christian, by the way. Darth needs to purify himself.
Yeah, Darth metal is weak. He needs heavy metal. Like, blessed be he.
I renamed my dog Jefferson Spatchcock because you never know where or when he's going to stream on something.
That's clever.
Clever. All right, I'll take it. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Well noted. My dad uses, I don't know if you have this gas station. It's called Wawa. They charge, it has
Yep.
no ATM charge.
Speed this up just a touch. It slows
It says,
down
it says in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2
here. Oh no.
that in the last days,
Reminder to anybody who think, this is me, trying to dust off some, layperson's critical biblical scholarship. 2 Thessalonians is considered to be more than likely pseudepigraphal, like not written by Paul, attributed to Paul, probably not really Paul that wrote it. So some of the theological points you're going to get, the emphasis, the message in 2 Thessalonians, not going to line up entirely with other Pauline messages.
Oh,
God will
okay.
send a damning delusion to them who believe a lie, who receive not a love of the truth. Now, what does that mean? The love of the truth is the revelation of God in creation and through human history, ultimately in the person of Jesus Christ, codified in the Bible. So that when you do not accept the love of the truth, which is God's revelation, you will succumb to what the Bible refers to as the lie, right? Well, what is the lie? Well, when you go to the rest of the Bible, especially Romans 1, the lie is the denial of God as creator, and alternatively turning and accepting that the creation or the universe is your creator. Okay. Well, when did that all start to happen? Well, that all started to change in the mid to the late 19th century under the influence of probably the most prominent would be Charles Darwin. And because of his garbage
What?
theory,
What?
it spread throughout the world like a cancer, and now it's dogma. Okay. People no longer.
So he's just galloped right into young Earth creationist paranoia porn. Evolution was single-handedly responsible for occluding people's capacity to understand the truth of God's creation and his sovereignty, et cetera, et cetera. Why would evolution do that? Like there were implications about the idea of species, adaptation of species, and then the idea that, well, maybe there's something to the idea that life emerged from some kind of prebiotic condition beforehand. But that's getting into abiogenesis, and that really wasn't Darwin's origin of species theory.
Right.
So,
Two different things.
and a lot of that has been refined since. So the idea that this is just like, oh, well, this became dogma, and now everybody just thinks that because humans came from monkeys, we don't need Jesus. I'm pretty sure that's the point he's going to make, right?
Well, Jeff, if humans came from monkeys, why are there still monkeys? Checkmate,
Exactly.
atheists.
Checkmate. Get wrecked. That's
You
right.
know, what kills me about young Earth creationism is by default, if you accept young Earth creationism, you have to accept conspiracy theories upon conspiracy theories, because you have to assume that all these scientific organizations and scientists are all lying, they're all spreading disinformation. It's not an isolated belief. Like there's a lot of baggage to that belief, whether young Earthers realize it or not. Like it's same way with flat Earth. If you believe in a flat Earth, you have to accept the baggage that everything is a conspiracy theory. It's not an isolated loony belief. It's a conglomerate, basically, of just conspiracy theories and unfounded nonsense.
Yeah, because everything is lying to you at that point. Like everything from the NASA, NASA as an
Right.
organization, to the flight control, the autopilot flight control systems in every commercial plane. Like those are also operating under a lie. It's like, and it's, for some reason they're not driving straight into the ground. Okay.
Right, exactly. Like if I understand it correctly, if the satellites in the sky were not set to like atomic time or nuclear time, I forget what it's called, then it couldn't account for the very slight deviation due to time dilation, because the satellites are far enough from the mass of the Earth to where it only miscalculates by like a small margin. But if they don't account for that, like you said, your GPS will run you into a ditch or into a lake, like that time in The Office where Michael.
I
and
swear,
whoever.
sometimes watching that Grubhub icon crawl across the map, I've often, I'm like, oh no,
Here it comes.
that's that satellite guided that person right into a tree, like it's just stuck on the map. You're like, where are my tacos?
that would be Elon Musk's satellites, would be my guess.
Yeah, exactly. He turned them off just for me. Like, Jefferson's not getting any breakfast.
He's not going nowhere. Except to the
Bart
next.
Jefferson, I have nothing against you at all. I'm here to enjoy the stream. Well, I appreciate that, Bart. Well, I hope you enjoy the stream. I do apologize. I did bring Gurr in here to turn it into a Saturday morning echo chamber, but that's on me.
Yes.
Don't blame Gurr because it's an echo chamber. I made it one.
I agree with everything Jeff says. Jeff's whatever you say, I agree with.
We're just gonna pat each other on the head and be like, yeah, you're a good leftist.
We're
You're
good. Everybody else not good. Unless you say everybody else is good, then I'll say yes, I agree. Everybody is good. You are correct.
Yeah, you will like who I like and you will hate who I hate.
Right.
I have declared it. Mr. Anderson writes, Young Earth requires not only conspiracies by man, it requires conspiracies by nature. The heat from radioactive decay during the year of the flood would boil the oceans. Yeah.
Oh,
And I think that's something Gutsick Gibbon talks about a lot. Or also, like, you can't have the amount of limestone that we see. You just go to the cliffs of Dover. Like, you can't get that much limestone in 6,000 years. You just can't. And I don't know what the pushback. I don't know what the pushback is for that. Because when I heard her given that argument, I was just like, well, hell, that's brilliant. It's like, no, guys, this doesn't work on that time span. And I think they're like, well, God could have magically made it happen. And then she's just like, heat problem.
Right. Like, as soon as you invoke God could just do whatever, then it's like all evidence for their side or against it is irrelevant. Because if you don't understand it, well, God did it. Like, oh, we can't find out why a thing works a certain way. Therefore, God did it. Like, we don't know how all these layers came about in 6,000 years. It works correctly on the evolutionary timeline of, a couple billion years or what have you.
Yeah.
But since we don't know that and we reject that, we just assume God did it. It's kind of like when young Earth creationists say, yeah, the universe was designed and made to look old, but it's not old. It's
right.
like, okay, so forget evidence. Who
Satan
needs
put those
empirical
fossils
evidence?
there so we would get gas and get cocky. Yeah, exactly. Look, them driving around in their little automobiles, thinking there's no Jesus. Well, got news for you, heathens.
You're gonna burn. This is one thing I don't get about people like Darth Dawkins, or really not all Christians, but a lot of Christians who are like derogatory and arrogant and mean to atheists. It's like, if you truly believe that the atheist that you are belittling is going to suffer for eternity,
yeah,
why would you be mean to them? It seems to me like you would do everything within your power to be extra nice and hope and pray that they convert, because you don't want them to suffer.
Right, or you just be incredibly conceited about it. Like like if an atheist, if you get Matt Dillahunty to yell at you, or R, anybody, just start screaming at you while you're having a debate, you're a believer. If you're really convinced that there's an afterlife, you can just sit there and have this creepy grin on your face, like, I know you're mad now, but just wait until you get hell.
Right. Right.
And it's like, I think maybe you just affirm that belief, but you're not entirely convinced that it's real. Otherwise,
right.
why have this, like, well, what we need to do is make sure that Christianity is accepted, appreciated, respected, and unquestioned in the here and now. Like, you guys get an afterlife. You're eternal, right? According to, like, what kind of weird project are you up to at this point?
This is kind of related, but it's like the Christians that are against, for example, gay marriage. It's like, if you truly believe that somebody, just because they're gay, is going to suffer for eternity, it seems like the least you could do is grant them a happy life here by letting them have the right to marry.
Yeah,
it's like if they're going to burn forever, then you should be giving them flowers and candy. Just saying, man, like somebody who's dying in a hospital, you want to make sure their last moments here on earth are good. So if you're a Christian and you truly believe everyone's going to burn forever, it seems like you would just be extra nice to them, because in the end, you believe in the end, they're going to rot. Consciously rock.
Even if you as a Christian believe that, okay, if we just turn everything over to the non-believer, it's going to turn into some coke-addled Thunderdome in like 15 minutes. Like, okay, what difference does that make to you? It could literally become some kind of like, late 80s Skid Row music video looking hellscape, and it wouldn't make a difference to you because you get an afterlife and eternity
Right.
in paradise. Like the idea, like, well, and that's when these guys start flirting with the notions of like, well, our country is not being blessed because we've angered the Lord our God. And it's like, are you reading the Old Testament again without remembering there's a part 2? Like, your narrative is getting a little wonky here. Yeah.
Even when I was a Christian, anytime I'd read the Old Testament, I'd always be thinking, man, God sure is angry a lot.
And
Jesus
tricky
Christ,
too.
calm down.
And frequently throwing in the towel, like, I am tired of these people. Oh, I'm just going to start over with a different group. And Moses is like, no. I know I'm engaging in a sunk cost fallacy here, but we've come too far, and I have done too much for you. You are helping me out with these people. Don't you do this, because I know you better than you know yourself, Yahweh. And here's what you're going to do. You're going to pick another group of people, and they're going to screw up and eat some roadkill or something, and you're going to be like, lol, you failed. I'm going to get rid of you and start with another group who might be able to follow my rules. Like, oh, this Yahweh guy's got the patience of a not Job.
Yahweh, Yahweh is like, listen, I gave you free will, but if you don't do as I say, I'm going to flood the whole world. And then after that, if you don't do as I say, I'm going to let you dry off in the lake of fire. But you have free will, but just don't piss me off by practicing this free will that I have given to you. That's God. That's Yahweh, bruh.
Yeah.
God's really kind of a dick, though, in the Bible.
Yeah, Robert said,
right?
you don't have a problem with being mean to Christians. Why should it be strange some of them are mean to atheists? I think the entailment that Germania is getting into is why would you do that if you believe in when you believe in an afterlife, and most American Christians do believe in an eternal paradise for those that are with Jesus and an eternal punishment zone for those that denied God. So if somebody's going to get all of the wrath all of the time for
Forever.
all of time, there's no real reason for, and you're going to get the good stuff. You don't really ever need to get worked up about it if you really believed it. But
right.
it is kind of telling when they're like, no, you have to accept this in the here and now. If there's seven mountain denominationalist kind of things, those the Christians have to take over these realms of society in order for the kingdom to come. That would explain it. That actually kind of explains their frustration, right? Because they've got a lot of work to do. But if you're just like, you know what, God's going to sort this out at some point. I'm getting eternal life. So yeah, the whole place could turn into Hell Valley. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
And also, if an atheist is being mean to a Christian, this is the way I see it. And what you just said is exactly my thoughts. You expanded upon. For me, if somebody was being rude to me at the store, let's say, they're being really, really rude, but I knew that tomorrow they're going to die in a car crash, I wouldn't let their meanness mean anything to me. I would feel sorry for this person who's being mean to me because I know they're about to die tomorrow. So as a Christian, if I thought an atheist was being mean to me, I would think, well, hopefully they get saved, but I know that they're going to burn forever when they die. So I'm not going to ridicule them. Like, it's just being, empathetic at that point. This is why I think Christians a lot of them don't really think this stuff through, because otherwise it would show up in their actions.
Yeah.
In large areas of the world no longer have a biblical worldview. They have an evolutionary worldview, not just biologically, but cosmologically as well.
Cosmologically?
You ever heard of the Big Bang?
No.
You wouldn't?
Okay.
No, never.
That's an extension of Darwinian evolution to a cosmological scale.
No, it isn't.
Where does it...
I don't know what pamphlets he's reading, but that's just category like no, that's not right at all. I'm pretty sure the first Big Bang model, when it was proposed, was well, it might have been the first one was actually kind of positive. It might have been after
or after. Yeah, I don't remember.
I mean, this idea that it's like the adaptation and origin of speciation, which is what Darwinian evolution is dealing with, isn't going to have anything to do with cosmology. If you end up linking some kind of like cosmological evolution and some kind of prebiotic emergence of life, an abiogenesis kind of theory together, you might be able to make this claim. But I don't think there's a hypothesis that gets even close to that at this point.
Right.
He's just like, well, you got a thing here that says that you can get a dog from a cat, and you don't need Jesus for that. It sounds to me that's Big Bang getting in your brain. Like
the only thing that I can think of that relates to it is it's in a similar essence. It just shows that a lot of time equals change and adaptation. Like give the cosmos a lot of time, you'll get stars, you'll get matter come together that creates planets and whatnot. But that's very, very different, as we all know, from biological evolution. I mean, it's a process of change over time, sure, but it's not the same thing. If anything, one thing that I think this is why they hate it is because the timeline of the cosmos with Big Bang cosmology and all that stuff, that timeline allows for the timeline of biological evolution. I think that's why they get those two conflated all the time.
Yeah, that's probably it, because they're you're doing this deep time thing because you need it because of evolution.
Right. The whole Kent Hovind style, basically. That's what he does.
Yeah. Big Bang was after Darwin, but there is no natural selection of differential reproduction when it comes to stars.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Mr. Anderson.
So in other words, they're rejecting that God created the world in a fiat creation and that there's no need for God. We got here by a Big Bang. It's just cosmological evolution. And that's exactly what is going to be the basis of the mindset of the world in 2 Thessalonians when the Antichrist comes. It says God will send a damning delusion.
What was that? What did he say?
What? Okay, so the damning delusion is evolution and the Big Bang theory, and Jesus sent it?
Did he say Jesus sent it?
God will send a damning delusion. That's what the passage in 2 Thessalonians.
I was about to say, does say that in the Bible. And that's coming from God, not the devil.
When they enter, and that's exactly what is.
Yeah, let's play that back. That's exactly what it says.
It's going to be the basis of the mindset of the world in 2 Thessalonians when the Antichrist comes. It says God will send a damning delusion.
When the Antichrist comes. I think 2 Thessalonians does get into that a little bit, which is kind of weird, because it's like, why would Paul be talking about this? Paul was never really in the Pauline epistles that are credited, like the 7. He doesn't really talk about non-believer eschatology. He talks about what's going to happen to believers, when the kingdom comes back. It's the other ones kind of get into that kind of stuff, and then Christians who mistranslate the book of Revelation to think that that's all about end times eschatology for everybody, universal eschatology, and it's like, no.
They get their wires crossed there.
Yeah.
Like it says here in this book, this thing, and in this other book, it says this other thing. They're connected, essentially, with end time stuff.
Yeah, then Giordano Bruno proposed a universe with no center to it and infinitely growing back in the 1500s. He was burned at the stake for those ideas. Yeah. And God will send a damning delusion. I thought God was by his nature truthful. You'd think so, but yeah, this gets a little bit.
That's the thing. Like it literally says in the Bible, in Thessalonians, I think it's 2 Thessalonians, God will send them strong delusions so that they will believe a lie or the lies. And it's like and God can't lie. God is nothing but the truth. But Paul plainly states that God sends delusions so people will believe lies. And that's not the Antichrist doing it. It's not the devil. It's God. So good luck trying to square that circle, Christians.
Stephanie says, Antichrist has good cookies.
Sounds like a good song.
That's a good pun.
And it's already here. The only thing that has to happen next is the formation of the one world government headed by the Antichrist. But he's not going to come wearing a bumper sticker, "Hey guys, I'm the Antichrist." He's going to come with a man who has solutions.
Elon Musk.
Like, I'm not saying names, but Elon Musk.
Damn it. There you go.
I think that he would be far more persuasive than Elon Musk.
So, like George Clooney?
He's going to be somebody who is the head of state within a 10-nation federation in Europe.
Obama.
George Clooney's wife.
which that would not be Elon Musk.
Interesting.
Hmm.
And Israel became a nation again in 1948.
Yeah.
Israel has been under an existential threat of nearly being wiped out twice in the late 19th century. 20th century. We just saw again Iran attacking again.
Oh
Yeah,
my
that was more like
God.
that's more like a PR gimmick. Like if I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's really all that was. From what I know, it's just okay. We have to show some sort of sovereignty, so let's do this thing over here. Meanwhile, as you know, I don't know if I should get into this, but like when it comes to Israel going after the Palestinian people, like they are just like Israel. The Israeli government is just full of a bunch of monsters. That's all I'll say.
At this point, yeah, the idea that people are looking at it like saying, well, hey, you know what, there's a parity here. It's Palestine versus Israel. I'm like, no, it's not. It's Israel versus Hamas, and Hamas is a terrorist organization, and you've got a
Right.
place like Gaza, which is tiny with a concentration of people in it not living well, and none of them have had a say in their local government in a vote since 2006. And yet, for
Right.
whatever reason, the IDF is putting out this idea that what they need to do is like convince Western news that there's parity here. This is a war. It's like, look, you guys they could have done this as a law enforcement operation
Right.
and left no carpet bombing and denial of water and electricity required.
Right.
And yet, those were some of the first tactics that they went to. And then you get quotes from military officials and it's like, okay, it's pretty clear that what they want to do is shove these people either into Egypt or into the Mediterranean and then convert the Gaza Strip into real estate for themselves. So it's like, how you're going to say that that's not ethnic cleansing? I don't know
textbook.
How.
Right.
It's textbook. Like, yeah, it's just like, and don't ask me, just ask the people that study like the differences between ethnic cleansing and genocide. It's like, it's definitely ethnic cleansing. You might get some arguments with people saying, does it count as genocide? Oh, I don't know. And like, well, okay, even if it's just ethnic cleansing, that's effing horrible.
Right.
And they have no reason to be doing it. They're like, well, they have the right to defend themselves against a terrorist attack. I agree. So why not go in there and operate like a law enforcement? There's no reason to bomb civilian populations. That's crazy.
And that's the thing. If people, let's just say somebody argued in good faith and showed reasonable evidence that it's not a genocide, it's like, okay, but it's still ethnic cleansing. Or even if you could argue it's not that, it's like, okay, they're still killing thousands upon thousands of innocent civilians. So whatever you want to call that, forget it. Let's just say we can agree that that's bad, right? Well, no, they're going after Hamas. It's like, well, do you think all these thousands of innocent lives and children are part of this terrorist organization or what have you? It's like,
and that's when an IDF spokesman, well, they voted for him, right? Like, I think like 50% of the population wasn't capable of voting in 2006, and even then, Hamas didn't win with a plurality, right? Like they weren't overwhelming. It was like 32 or 33, something like it was like the dominant third or something. So it's like, yeah, come on, guys, don't every time they make these statements, they're just counting on the fact, well, the West isn't paying attention to this, so what we can do is advertise like this is basic parity kind of stuff. They hit us, we hit them back harder. They come after me with this knife, I'm going to go after them with a gun. It's like, okay, but you didn't go after them. You went after families and shit. You're terrorizing a population,
exactly,
and using a terrorist attack to justify, this just completely over the top overreaction to it. And the fact that they have to like kind of also like, I don't know, like kind of unzip in front of like Hezbollah too, It's just like, what are you doing? Well, no. Hamas is over here. Don't go up there. But don't look at that up there. What, don't mess with Hezbollah right now.
It is so reminiscent of 9/11. Like country X attacked us, so we're going to go attack a country Y. It's like, oh, I'm not seeing the connection there. But anyways, I could talk a lot about this subject just because it's infuriating.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's just relocating the Palestinians, and it's voluntary unless they refuse. You have the choice to leave or stay. cocks the gun at the word stay.
Right.
Like,
It's like somebody pointing a gun to your head and saying, "I'm giving you the free will to give me your wallet or I shoot you. It's your choice." It's like, oh wow, you're so kind. Thank you for this freedom.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to bog the stream down with that topic. I know it's a divisive one for some reason. I don't know why.
yeah, I don't think it should be. It's like, look,
It shouldn't be. It's,
I don't want any harm to come to the to Israeli people. I would rather harm not come to the Palestinian people. I think Hamas is a
Right.
stupid organization that's full of shit. I think the IDF is a ridiculous organization full of shit. You know what?
And
You
they
want a
have a-
solution? Try a one-state solution where you dissolve both of those things.
right. And like as it stands, the
Give that a
IDF
shot.
have objectively killed more innocent civilians than Hamas has.
Yeah. And the idea that when you have the military leaders like, all right, finally, we're going to mix it up. Now, phase 2, Lebanon. And that's when I get worked up. I'm like, they make my favorite food. You stay out. You keep that word out of your mouth.
You get away from here. Go now, get.
Come on, get away from there. Like, no, their variations of hummus and roast cauliflower are my favorite.
Oh, all this time I thought we were battling hummus, not hummus. Now you crossed the line.
Oh, yo, what have you guys got against chickpeas? They're mentioned in the Bible.
The Bible says it's going to happen right before. The reason why Jesus is going to return in biblical prophecy is that he's going to save Israel from national destruction. Meaning, there's going to be a coalition of armies that are going to attempt to invade Israel.
It seems
Sorry.
like they're for some reason planting the seeds of that. Like you talk to, I don't know if you've talked to a lot of young people. I mean, I don't see a lot of older people with this ideology, but I mean the youth.
Once the
I think that guy was getting ready to go down a problematic path there, but I'm not going to like put words in his mouth. But all right,
United States turn, how shall I put this? There's still sizable support for Israel in the United States, but
I would say oversized.
if the radicals in the Democratic Party are successful in the coming years of gaining complete control, we're not going to you're not going to see any more Republican presidents ever.
Well, that's getting harder and harder, right? I mean,
It sure
First of-
seems that way.
I mean, depending on how the party shifts, you will get. I mean, I don't. This guy doesn't understand politics at all. Republicans are just chock full at local levels. Between gerrymandering and a lot of their little projects over the last 40, 50 years. I mean, they're just, I mean, look at some of the some of the laws they've tried to push through. I mean, recently, I mean, it's just, and at state levels, the stuff that they're passing is trash.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just actively trying to make life harder for certain groups of people most of the time, instead of actually representing a constituency. Like, they come in as these moralizing, usually openly corrupt management types who are going to run your life rather than represent you in government.
Well,
Like,
and the irony is they're the ones who espouse how we're so free and we're pro freedom, and yet the Republicans are always doing something that infringes upon other people's freedoms. It's like,
right,
what?
yeah. The first thing, yeah. Like, oh, by the way, what was the one in Kentucky where they passed a law where if you're under, you need an ID to view homosexual content.
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah, that
I haven't read the
ridiculous.
law. I'm like, there is no way that state is going to be able to administer that, other than basically having some kind of block on any of those sites. Because I think it would include, say, if there was the potential for you to view a video, like I wouldn't even know how they would even check on this. You being a man wanting to watch videos of another man taking care of business, on his own, you're watching that kind of content. Like, as far as that, the law, I think the law actually has that language in there. If masturbation is something that is there, then that's potentially in the category of homosexual content. Therefore, you need an ID. And I'm like, how would you?
Yeah,
Wouldn't that
and
depend on the viewer? I mean, what the hell are you guys doing? Like, what?
if that goes on the ballot, there's going to be a lot of good Christian men who vote against it because they're like, oh, that's gonna mess up me time, my time,
That's my Sunday afternoon right there.
because as we know, the most hateful people the most like the loudest homophobes, it seems to me, are usually in the closet. They're fighting that urge. They're overcompensating basically. So when it comes to voting, they're gonna be like, no, I'm not voting for that. I want to be able to watch this stuff. And so, I mean, I don't know. Republicans, it's amazing that I ever can. It's amazing to me that I was ever one of them. But that was a long time ago. I have since changed. I've asked Darn to come into my heart, and Satan has changed me. So now I've changed.
Yeah. And we all know, Satan is a property hating leftist.
Oh, you want to feed poor people? I don't think so. Taxation is theft, or whatever BS that they're spouting these days.
They're still doing that, but now it's like they gotta defend the kids from the woke mobs that are gonna turn them into LGBTQ allied anti-business types or something like that. Like it's all part of the same thing,
Yeah, there's this channel I'll have to tell you about because you might get some content out of it. These guys say, if a gay couple adopt a kid, that kid's going to end up being gay because it's learned behavior. And it's like, what are you talking about? You're telling me you, as a straight dude, would be gay if you had two dads? Like, you really think that?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure if I were adopted by, two lesbians or two gay men, I'm pretty sure that my sexual orientation is going to be exactly the same. Which it still is. It's just I'm the most cishet white guy I think I know. like, oh, I really like these old photos of Pamela Anderson. Like, I am very meat and potatoes. Like, she's pretty and curvy. That's it. That's yeah.
You know what's going to happen in that state that they're trying to get that passed? Everybody's going to go, wait a second, I can't watch lesbian porn. Oh, I don't know about this.
That did occur to me, and that made me enraged. It was like, well,
it's like, I don't think so, buddy.
Never moving to Kentucky. Like, you know what's better than one woman? Lots of women. Two or more.
Minimum.
Taking a shower together.
3 is the sweet spot, or so I've heard. Not that I would know, because
it's just one of these weird things. It's like, wait, are you coming like? Are you going after the people who are in like watching same-sex content? Like if I was watching like two guys or something like that and I'm a guy, then they're like, oh, there's a problem there. Well, obviously if it's two guys, they're like, no, that's clearly. I'm like, okay, what about two women and I'm watching that? Like my orientation is pretty clearly I'm just a straight guy,
Right.
Like, oh, and they're like, yeah, but you were watching lesbians and now you need an ID. I'm like,
it's like, what? And whoever's enforcing these rules are saying, well, we're still going to watch it without giving an ID. But, you peasants, y'all got to give IDs.
I got to drive to McDonald's over in Tennessee so I can watch my videos. Sad. Oh, it's so sad. All right, let's get back into this video.
Yeah. If they get Texas to go blue,
Texas,
there won't ever be a Republican president.
That's a good point.
And if the members of the federal government who are supportive of Israel are on the decline, right? Or for that matter, you could have the Democrats being in control of the White House and the federal government, the Congress. They may decide to go after their political opposition, just like they're going after Trump today. Okay? So what they're doing to Trump, they could do to lower level politicians in the near future. I say the near future could be 5, 10 years, even 20 years, but right. And then you would no longer have a strong support for Israel.
Good. Robin West. Hey, I am from Kentucky and I'm sorry for you, Robin. I have been to Kentucky several times. It is a beautiful state with a crazy government. Maybe not as crazy as Tennessee.
I think I've only been once, a long time ago.
I don't really like the western side of either of those states. If you get the western side of Tennessee, and the western side of Kentucky, I think kind of boring. You can get some rolling hills in Kentucky and stuff like that. But if you get over into the eastern side of both states, that's pretty good. And I haven't really spent that much time there. I've only been in like Louisville and then and Nashville. But
Yeah, I've been to Nashville. That was fun. But yeah,
Nashville's a nice town.
I didn't really get to experience either state to get a feel for anything. So I wouldn't know.
If we never have another Republican president, there may be a God.
I'll be a believer then.
I think it would be hilarious to see Texas go blue. I don't think that it's going to in this election, but
I doubt it will.
It would be. I hope that either that one or because Florida can go blue and these guys don't really care about it because Florida for a long time was a purple state. It was it was a
it could be.
And
flipped.
now it's been pretty consistently red. Although I'm thinking this time maybe not. They've got that abortion ban thing that's probably going to be on the ballot, and that's going to drive turnout.
Yeah,
but it might drive turnout both ways, so it's going to be anybody's guess. So who knows?
I do think Georgia is it's pretty close to being blue. It's not blue, but it's a lot closer to blue than it has been from the last couple of elections. Like last election, it was pretty close. So Georgia might end up being a swing state at some point. I don't know if that'll happen. If so, I assume it will happen in the next 10, 12 years. But that's
I
just
don't know.
My speculation.
Yeah, they have gotten purple in the last couple of elections, and now I think they're still pretty gerrymandered, but
yeah.
I don't know. Well, I think they're gerrymandered. I don't know if any of that's cleared up. I thought they were
would
on
not
the list of
surprise
ones.
me.
So many of the states were. Wisconsin's kind of got that cleared up. Michigan had that cleared up, but other states are still dealing with it. I think North Carolina is still dealing with redistricting maps that are gerrymandered to hell and back. But yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Right. And without the United States supporting Israel financially and militarily, Israel is going to be in a very precarious situation in spite of their great army and their technological, defense apparatus
that we give them.
And it says that the Antichrist is going to enter into a peace treaty with Israel for their protection. But then he's going to break the treaty, and that's when the armies will move to invade Israel.
This is all going to play out exactly the way Darth describes in his new science fiction fantasy book. Everything's fucked. This is absolutely nuts. The polls right now have weed and abortion failing in Florida. The polls have not been great, especially some of these earlier ones. But that's interesting though that they'd be failing. I don't understand why it's been so hard to get legal weed passed in Florida. That just does not sound. It's just so weird.
It doesn't make sense, especially if you've ever gone to a spring break type of thing in Florida. Like everybody down there would smoke weed. I think 80% of them would smoke weed if they could legally, or they probably already do. So it's amazing that that the polls aren't favorable so far. I think that could change though. I think that will change, but yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be because those are two big draws for Democratic voters, but like the demographics in Florida are always been a little bit different. So yeah, turnout's going to determine, unlike it always does. But it's anybody's guess right now.
And it could be, since a lot of people retire down there, like it's overrun by a bunch of boomers. As far as and they're the ones who end up voting anyway. So that might be.
Yeah, that's always traditionally been the bigger group. So yeah. Dean says Kentucky is a state that could conceivably return to blue one day if labor pushes hard. A lot of working class here. Yeah, I agree. Kentucky easily could be. And I think some of that like right to work BS is starting to kind of get cleared up. Barnes, weed is sorcery. Well, I don't think it's that cool. I don't think it's that. I think sorcery, like if it were sorcery, I might be more interested in it. I'm just not a big fan of weed.
I'm not either, only because the few times I've tried anything with THC in it, it has given me panic attacks, even little small amounts. So it's not for me, but I want everybody to be able to, if they're of legal age and
Yeah, for some people, it
Not
makes them
hurting
feel
anybody.
great. It's great for pain. It's good for blood pressure. Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of people really benefit from it. It's like, hey, do what you need.
Right.
Hopefully, you're working with a
Right.
doctor with that. But yeah, for me, I would need to get one of those new, like this is formulated for an 80-year-old who just wants to put a smile on their face. Like that's the one. That's the one right there. It's a pink gummy. I eat it and like, I feel nice
With
for like 30
me,
minutes.
like if I was ever prescribed some sort of THC product, I'd have to be like, doctor, can you give me some Xanax with this? Because I know this is going to give me a panic attack.
I made the mistake the last time I smoked. The last time I smoked anything that made me feel really good was years ago. And I was helping my brother's neighbor with some stuff. He's an older dude, vet, and he had some weed. And he's like, "Here, take this." And he just hands me a joint. He's like, "I got that from my son-in-law. He grows stuff, but he got that from another grower, and it's basically like weed you'd get out of the early 70s or something." He's like, "It's really light." And I'm like, "Okay." So I take it home, and eventually I'm like, I'm with my brother. We're down there, and like that area in like North Carolina, everybody was smoking. And so I'm like, all right, let's give this a shot. So I fire it up and I smoked the whole thing. And I
That would
just
be
leaned back. I leaned back in a chair. It was so light and so much. I just leaned back in a chair. It was just, I felt great for about 45, 50 minutes, just felt euphoric. Took a little bit of a nap, got up, made like 4 sandwiches. And that was it. That was all it did to me. But then like the last time I tried doing anything with it, I thought I was ready. And I took a few puffs off of something my brother-in-law was smoking, and he smokes some strong medical grade stuff for a variety of ailments. And I'm like, okay, well, I can take a few puffs off this and I'll be fine. I took like 2 or 3 and I didn't feel anything. So I took like 2 or 3 more.
Uh-oh.
And then he's like, okay, you're cut off. And I'm like, why? And then it hit. And I was like, there was a point where I was sitting in a chair, like clawing, doing this into my own knee. And I'm like, I'm losing it. This is permanent. Yeah. Lost my off half a dozen puffs. And I'm like, no, I can't do this anymore. Like I'm never, and it lasted for 10 hours.
Oh my God.
10 hours of that. Yeah.
I could not imagine. I feel like I would have PTSD from that sort of experience, because when the first time I did it, it was a THC vape that I'd gotten from a store. And so this was just a couple years ago. And instead of me taking one hit, I puffed on it, probably 5 or 6 times, thinking, it's only like 3% or less THC derived from hemp. It's no big deal. Oh my God, the panic attack that set in after about 15, 30 minutes, it was so severe. And then I experienced what I believe is psychosis, because I thought the TV was talking, like people on the TV, everything they were saying, I thought was directly to me. It was awful. And I was like, I know these people are not talking directly to me, but it feels like they are. And I believe that they are. This is awful.
Yeah. Robin says a sativa versus indica. Yeah. From my experience, my very limited experience, and I am a lightweight. If it is an indica, I am doomed. Doomed. Like it's basically like, whatever that stuff Scarecrow uses on his victims. That's my reaction to indica. If it's like some like 60s, gutter sativa, no blend, just sativa, the kind of stuff that's supposed to hype you up or make you productive at work or whatever, I can smoke one of those and like, that's nice. That feels pretty good. And then I'll usually get dry mouth and a mild headache and it goes away. So it's like, okay, this wasn't worth the price for that, because it made me feel kind of okay for part of an hour.
Right.
And then the other one, it's like, well, do you want to feel like you're permanently trapped on a couch? Like, I do not want that experience at all.
No.
There was one called, it's like couch coffin or something like that. I'm like, no, I don't want to do them. Like, no, I want nothing like that.
What's
You won't be
funny?
You'll be trapped inside your body for days. Like,
That's what it felt like.
yeah, I'm waiting for them just to come out with a really powerful indica called Buried Alive, because that's exactly what it feels like.
I remember a few months later, I tried it again because I figured, okay, I'm just going to take one puff. And it was probably a 3-second long puff. And same thing, same experience. And I was like, I will never do this again. God, if you're real, I'm so sorry for all the shit I've talked about you on YouTube. Please don't make this TV stop talking to me. Ugh, just thinking about it just gives me the gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Maya says, I know there are plants I shouldn't eat or rub on my skin, but I can't say I fear any of them to the point that I'm fear-mongering about them in random side chats. It's true, but I think I know where you're directing that, Maya. And just to play like devil's advocate, I am terrified of indica. I not try-
I am too. If I don't know if one strand would work better than another one for me at this point, I'm not interested to even try it because I'm just scared that's going to happen again. But at the end of the day, as I think I've made clear, if somebody wants to do it, I fully support it. I fully support legalization. I would even go a step further with legalizing at most or decriminalizing at minimum all drugs. But I know things can get a little iffy on some of those, but
yeah,
it's whatever.
Blessed be asked, how often do you smoke weed? Well, those half a dozen puffs that I took, that was 3 years ago. That was the last time I took a puff. So
that's I think it's the same for me 3 years ago.
Yeah, Stephanie says an ounce of bud will last me a year. No, I don't know. Yeah. So I know some friends and relatives, their consumption is high, but again, they've got chronic medical conditions that they're looking to.
Yeah.
So they go through a lot.
Yeah, makes sense.
Not that far off. It's very close.
It's very close. It's coming soon.
Let me ask you an idea that another friend kind of had, similar to what you said, where we're kind of leaning to, my opinion, war. So another very religious person, his Bible was the King James version 2, and he says God promised to never flood the earth again, but he never promised to burn the earth. So I think he says he thinks it'll be by fire next time.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Hellfire. Because water, that's passe. Yeah, he did that. Let's scorch everybody now.
Yeah. God's not going to do the same old trick again.
I think my mom was a fan of this back when we were kids. I think she was a believer in this. Like, no, the end of the world is not going to be. She loved thunderstorms and stuff like that. And she's like, I don't, that's what those rainbows are about. God's not going to kill us with that. I'm not afraid of thunderstorms and stuff, but I'm afraid of forest fires. Like, come on.
I can see the logic.
At least it lined up, right? Yeah,
right. It's not completely irrational, but I will say I do think it's ironic that a lot of fundamentalists believe that the world is going to end in fire, in a blaze. Yet they don't think climate change is a big deal, and it's like that's literally the temperature of the Earth rising. It seems like you would be saying, yeah, the Bible predicted this, even though it did not. But seems like they'd go that route.
I bought a Delta 9 THC drink, but I haven't tried it yet. My brother's explained Delta 9 to me, but I don't understand it. He'll get into the weeds of that stuff, and I'll just kind of like
the weeds of that stuff.
Yeah.
Totally meant that, didn't you?
I didn't.
Totally intentional.
I think in US it's a bit like in Poland. All the alcoholics in the government say weed is bad, so it has to be illegal. Yeah. He has a bunch of red-faced, balding, obese guys like, that's a gateway drug glug.
It's bad for your health as they pound another, I don't know, Jimmy Dean or whatever it's called.
It's like those people that are like cigarettes. That's just slow motion self-harm right there. Yeah, I'll take a triple Jack Daniels with the
and also a Big Mac with large fries and a milkshake.
That reminds me, for those who, I think somebody mentioned that, a puppy gets a toy with likes. What I'll do is I'll convert those to chicken McNuggets that I will give to my parents' dog. His name is Moo. He's a big pit bull in a Goofus, but he loves McDonald's. So,
oh man, I bet.
I'm going to start with 2. I'm going to give him 2 and see if his digest, because I guess his previous owner used to do that as a special treat for him. My parents now feed him very expensive, healthy food. He gets these very healthy treats. And I sometimes, like, when I see him, I just like, this dog's a garbage gut. Yeah. He wants a piece of pie or like, a greasy burger or something. So
you kind of feel like a grandmother where you're like, I just want to spoil the grandkids because they're eating nothing but, I don't know, gluten-free, low carb nonsense. So you're like, have a candy bar, have a Snickers.
Something. Yeah. And I'm obviously not going to feed him chocolate or anything like that. And I can't give him the kind of stuff that I eat because most of the stuff that I eat is loaded with things that'll kill a dog, like, garlic,
right?
And onion and stuff. And
AR said pounding a sausage, Jimmy Dean. Yeah, I was thinking of what is the whiskey? I think it's whiskey. Jim Beam, I think is what I was trying to say. Not
Yeah,
Jimmy
Jim Beam.
Dean. I knew that was incorrect. Jimmy Dean.
Although a sage sausage flavored liquor would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, God, if they couldn't make it any more disgusting.
Just like it's sweet like a bourbon, but it's sagey like a maple, like a maple sausage. Like
Needs a little
delicious.
ketchup.
Yeah. Let's stir a little ketchup and mustard into this. Like,
The chaser would be a little shot of ketchup.
at the end of the day, you have a drink that tastes exactly like you're drinking watered down tartar sauce.
Imagine the hangover on that. Ugh.
Oh yeah.
You just remember the taste and you'd want to vomit some more. All right.
Well, God is going to destroy the universe in a fervent fire and then recreate it and restore it after Judgment Day. And everybody who's decided to give God the middle finger, they're going to get what they want.
It's not just the people that give God the middle finger. It's the people that were like, don't believe in him.
Right.
I guess that's that's also a middle finger too. So yeah, you catch the fire as well. So
like
you get a beating. You get a beating. You get a beating.
Everyone here gets beatings. It's like the person overseas who's never heard of the Christian religion or any religion for that matter that's deistic at least. God's gonna be like, you gave me the middle finger, and they're gonna be like, what? I didn't know you exist. I don't know anything about you. Who are you? And God's gonna be like, it's too late for that. But remember, I'm full of love and I love you. But now I'm gonna cast you into the lake of fire. But I'm all love, and I knew this was going to happen before I created you because I know everything.
And I knew which one of you were going to give me the middle finger up until the end, especially those ones that said, I just didn't know. Like, damn it.
God's like,
I sent it. Yeah, I sent a deceiving spirit. So the fuck what?
God's gonna be like, I really hated those people who say that they lacked belief in me. Oh, I want to punch him myself.
Spooky's 2 hours gone, 2 hours to go. I called it. You may have. We'll try to wrap this up a little quicker. How's that?
It is 2 hours. I'm here all day, bros. No, I'm just kidding.
Just great. I get back and the drug convo is over. It's the only subject I'm an expert in.
My man. No, I'm just kidding.
You're going to be separated from God.
Yeah, what you give the middle finger, you get the middle finger.
Wow.
Have you noticed
up your
that
spine?
Atheists, with rare exception, are always saying prove God exists?
Yeah.
Why are they doing that?
I'm not sure.
If they were solidly convinced that they had rational grounds that God does not exist, there would be no need to say prove God exists. They would just say, listen, your belief in God is entirely false. God does not and cannot exist because. But you don't hear them doing that, do you?
Yeah,
they publicly self-identify as atheists, but what comes out of their mouth is the incredulity card. Because you can't. Once the idea of God enters into your mind as the creator and sustainer of all things, it can't be rationally expunged. It can be irrationally suppressed, but it cannot be rationally expunged. All they can do is a feeble attempt to worship the creation. Why do you think so many atheists are such ardent supporters of evolution? Because they think in biological, chemical, biological, and cosmological evolution, they have no need for God. God is now superfluous. But
superfluous.
They're not giving us a rationale.
But
I think
I was just going to say, what about the Christians who accept evolution, who are okay with the science and say that's how God did it? Like, they're not throwing away their faith. They're just seeing it as how God, they're just looking into it. I imagine that they look at it as, oh, this is how God did it through natural selection and then Big Bang cosmology outside from that. Like, so what he's saying here is just so absolutely stupid. And this is why I hate listening to him.
Yeah. Sorry. Let's
no, but I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this.
Listen a little bit more, shall we?
Now that God doesn't exist. When I was invited on Discord like 2 years ago to speak with about 8 different atheists with PhDs, not one of them, including Graham Oppie, was willing to make a cogent defense that God doesn't exist. Almost all of them ran away from defending it.
That's because they don't need to.
Right.
They don't really need to. Like, why? You know, and if the problem for somebody like Darth is that Darth has demonstrated that he can't understand the difference between a person justifying their belief that there is no God or their disbelief in gods, however you want to put that, versus somebody setting out to prove the impossibility of the existence of beings that are gods
Right.
as Darth defines them. And because he doesn't understand, he doesn't seem to understand that for philosophers, they're going to be like, yeah, I'm going to get held up on that little divide right there, because those are categorically very different things. And Darth doesn't think that they are. Every time he had those conversations, he'd get frustrated and then get kicked. And then usually, you know, there was like some head shaking, like who the basically they said what Gurr would say, like, what the hell did I just talk to? The hell was that guy?
Why did I talk to that? Note to self, do not talk to this guy again.
Yeah, never do that to me again. I think many of them said that to what was his name, Canadian Catholic or whatever, was the guy that was bringing him into those. Yeah, he was the one bringing him into that. I think one of them did. It's like, don't ever do that again. Don't set me up with something like that again. It must have happened at least once.
You know, they wear atheism, you know, like an armband, but when what comes out of their mouth is just agnosticism. All right, they'll find out the hard way. But that'll be a nightmare that will never be over.
I mean, you can be an atheist for gods that you have epistemic grounds to claim cannot exist based on some epistemology.
That's not what an atheist is. An atheist is somebody who either denies that there's a creator or deny that there are gods.
Okay. Wait, is he allowing for a definition of gods other than creators?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I thought his definition that he would operate from is that if you're calling it a god, it is the ultimate foundational necessary existence
sustainer of
the creator and sustainer of all of reality. So it's like, okay, if it's not a creator, then it's not a god. It just might be like Superman or something, or some, you know,
right. Well, this is where
Martian Manhunter or some shit. Yeah.
This is where my atheism comes into play, because I don't even know, like, what would classify a thing, a deity, or a being as God. Like, what about a thing makes the thing a god?
And I think that's the one thing that Darth has occasionally been consistent on, is the idea that it has to be a creator, because then it'll shift into like, oh, well, if you're going to talk to me about the existence of Thor or Ra or something like that, those weren't, you know, so-called creator gods. They don't share the stated properties of the god I'm talking about. Like, okay, so now that he's saying this, is like, no, an atheist is somebody who doesn't believe in a creator, you know, doesn't believe in gods. Like, little g, like lowercase g gods, like,
right? Lowercase g, because so for the sake of argument, let's say that there is a creator, but the creator isn't sustaining life. It's this other thing that sustains life. Does that mean neither one of them are gods according to Double D's logic? Because one creates, the other one sustains. Like, I mean, this is kind of a worthless thought experiment, but
I think his pushback would be, no, it has to be the same thing. The creator has to be the sustainer because of the imposition of will or something like, I don't know. It would be something flabby.
I would want somebody to use that against him. Say, okay, I don't know who the creator God is, but I believe in the sustainer God. But the sustainer God did not create. And just have a fun day with it. Have a field day with it.
Yeah. No, sustainer gods, that's totally cool. But that came out of
it's Chris Hemsworth.
It came out of the Big Bang. Yeah. Tall and muscular. Blonde as Mr. Anderson writes, have you guys heard of this guy made by Jim Bob? Oh, yes.
Recently.
He's a preceptor like Darth. I got into it with him this week and don't know whether I should dunk on him some more or just let sleeping dogs lie. If you can dunk on him a little bit more, Mr. Anderson, I will cover that. Yeah. Please
Yeah.
do.
I actually have a friend, Deconverted Man, went on to his stream, I think a week ago, and that was a fun little listen.
Yeah.
Fun to listen to. I mean, he's not as insufferable in my opinion as Darth Dawkins is, but yeah,
No.
I noticed a lot of the precept tactics in his rhetoric. Yeah.
There are a couple of Andrew Wilson things I'm going to cover, I think, coming up pretty
Oh.
soon. I ran into one where he was talking to a feminist, and he consistently is the most. He operates in such bad faith in just a conversation. It's incredible.
He's
Like,
the
he's
one that Matt Dillahunty walked away from, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
that's when I learned about him.
yeah, I think justifiably so. Like the guy's,
Oh yeah.
he's a jackass. Yeah,
I agree. I think Matt has since learned maybe you should probably look into who you're about to debate.
yeah.
But I
especially
get his reasoning for not doing that. I thought that was a fair reason. Something about I didn't want to have any preconceived notions or something along those lines. I was like, that's understandable. But given your status, you're going to have Nazis want to debate you. You know?
The game asks, has Darth abandoned TikTok? No, I don't think he has. In fact, I think I'm going to do a video probably later in the week, where I'm going to catch up with some. If I can get him to share correctly, I'm going to cover some, because I can't see what Darth's doing on TikTok because he banned me for 6 months or something like that.
6
Block
months.
me, block
He gave
me
you a time
completely.
limit.
Oh yeah. Well, I saw it. I think it's in the thing. Like, this user has blocked you completely from seeing their activity for 6 months. And I was like, oh, good Lord.
I didn't know he was pro censorship. What?
Oh,
What
yeah,
about
yeah,
your
yeah.
freedom of speech, Jeff?
Not for atheists, not for pigs like me. But then he decided, but there's content about Darth on there from other people, their conversations.
Oh
with him.
yeah, that you can watch.
So I'm probably going to do a little catch it, because this is pretty recent, I think. This video that we're covering here. But then there's some TikToks out there that go back into March. So I don't know. I mean, now we're getting to the end of April. It's 420. It's a good thing we did talk about drugs today, because it is 420.
I didn't think about that. That's a good point.
Yeah, somebody mentioned that yesterday, and they're like, you're not going to get a lot done.
Yeah. Everybody's gonna be too stoned to listen or to turn on their YouTube page.
Yeah, probably. Okay.
The YouTube.
The idea that when they say, well, I'm an atheist toward these gods, this is a complete bastardization of the English language, because that means that theists are atheists. Because if you're a theist and you believe in creator, let's say the God of Christianity or Islam.
This is going to get good. Mr. Andrew Jefferson. All right. Well, there is already one video on my channel, and I have more in the pipe that I could fire off. Yeah, I'll watch them, and then if you don't mind me covering them, I'll probably give it a look. I'm kind of interested. Yeah, I appreciate it. I haven't covered. I did cover a conversation, I think, with Pine Creek, made by Jim Bob and Andrew Wilson. And that
Wait, Pine Creek talked to those two like on a stream?
He was a guest on Made by Jim Bob, and Andrew Wilson was there from the Crucible, and there was another guy that was there.
Oh, I'd be curious to listen to that.
And I think that was several months ago, but that was when, I think that was the one that I covered, where Andrew Wilson is trying to give a definition of, he gives his own definition of what a Christian nationalist is, or what Christian nationalism is. And Pine Creek's just like, oh, yeah, I accept that.
I was about to say, Pine Creek's probably like, yeah, hell yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that. And I'm like, you don't? First of all, that's not what like Andrew Wilson doesn't get Christian nationalism right. It's like, okay, there's some weasel words in that definition. And then then Pine Creek's just like, oh, okay, fine. I don't see what the problem with that. And Wilson's being all like, well, I know you don't, Doug. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm like, this smarmy, greasy,
I've got to check that out. Sounds like a fun ride.
That was a good one. Yeah, that was fun.
Islam. Well, consequently, you're going to disbelieve in other God concepts. So theists are atheists? I mean, it's ridiculous.
So that was a colloquialism coined by the new atheist movement. So you would have heard 10 years or 15 years ago that, like Richard Dawkins.
They're still saying it.
Mm-hmm.
They're still saying it. They're just saying, and this is how pathetic their defense of atheism is, that they have to resort to the type of adolescent reasoning. Well, we're all atheists. I just believe in one more or less God than you do. I mean,
Why was he muted?
Yeah, I don't agree to that. Yeah, why did he get muted? I don't agree to that definition. The definition that I hold to as atheism is not accepting the proposition of a.
That guy's really quiet, but
Yeah.
right. Stephanie says the exact quote was, "When you put it that way, I agree with you." Yeah, it came across even worse.
Concrete's probably like, wait, are you against the gays? Okay, I'm with you.
Let's have breakfast.
I take the stance
I
as
was-
atheist. I take the stance as atheist that I believe there are no God or gods. Or anything.
why was I muted?
I don't know.
Nobody knows.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna have to report Taco again. He's doing it again. All right, see you later, guys. He's harassing me again.
He didn't do it. He just said he didn't do it.
Yeah, I don't believe him. He's a liar. He's done it. He's done it
You've
on
been
multiple
spotted.
occasions.
Bye.
Who else is a mod in here that can do it?
People should hold it.
Taco, you got discovered.
Yeah, but he did say, he told me, he's like, I didn't mute him.
Oh
I
yeah,
was
he
like,
said.
you know,
He said
yeah,
that
and I was like,
earlier, didn't he?
yeah,
He's like-
yeah. He's like, he's very mistaken about this. Like, he didn't do it, and I think he even told me, he's like, I've never muted Darth. It's never happened. He's like, or if it has, it's been like if there's crosstalk or something like that, and he mutes everybody to kind of reestablish something.
right.
But I don't even know how often he's done that with Darth, because Darth will usually like blow up and just get
Yeah.
obsessed with the fact that he was quieted along with everyone else. Like
That's what what's one of many things that kills me about Darth is you, as you know, you can't even have a moderated debate or chat with him because he just loses his shit anytime he gets muted or interrupted because he's interrupting his opponent or what have you. It's like, dude, it takes two to tango, whatever. So like
Well-
you have to let the other person engage with what you're saying.
Yeah.
Pine Creek has drifted towards allying with those guys, unfortunately. Speaking of Pine Creek, I did watch your review of my chat with him. This is when I was away and lurking here and there. I enjoyed your convo with him. And you made a comment about maybe you should have invited me onto that stream. And I actually think what you did was better because if I'm on there, I'm going to preemptively do a thing that might taint your perception or what have you. So I think it was best for me not to be there because I didn't want to be like, okay, what he's about to say here is how I took it, and what I'm about to say here is how I mean it. You know, so I thought it was better that I wasn't there for fairness sake.
Okay.
But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, well, yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, that one was a fun one for me because I think that was the one that he tagged me and Maya in.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, because
he'd done it once. He had it out there because I'd watched part of it before, and then he did like that snippet, you know, that part of the long stream, and then targeted us, and he's like, "Take a look at this, you woke progressives." Like, okay.
Well, what was funny was I'd already been absent from YouTube for I think a few months at that time, and then Pine Creek, I joined his stream, which was the first one I had joined in a few months up to that point. And then he uploaded that clip and tagged you and Maya in it. I think it was like a month or two after it, I guess, because I was on Maya's channel. But I thought your response to it was good and fair, and I agreed a lot. I think we agreed on more things than we disagreed with.
Yeah, we probably did. I think the only thing that I had a quibble with was that he was trying to kind of squeeze you into like the woke lefty box, and I'm like, I don't know to what extent Gurr is a leftist in in the sense that you would like if you and I, somebody asked me about this. I was in Discord way too often this last week. That was not productive.
I'm sorry.
Somebody asked me a question like, "Hey, Jefferson, what's your like political alignment?" And I was like, I didn't want to say socialist because I didn't think that's not really accurate. Yeah, I mean it is, but it's I'm like, if I'm going to be honest, it's not a good title, but it's probably communist. And I'm like, only because I don't like the idea of private property. Personal property, fine. Private property, like as in like, you know, land treated as a commodity you can buy and sell. So I do not agree with.
Yeah, I get that.
I could kind of feel the tone in the room
Shift a little bit.
because I was like, are we talking to a tanky right now? Like, no, I'm not. I'm not
He's one of those
advocating.
lefties that has a bazooka in his closet.
Yeah, I'm gonna storm the Capitol. We're gonna take it back for the proletariat. Like, I'm not a tanky. They're like, oh, at least that's good. And I'm like, is it? I don't know.
Well, well, like when it comes to my politics, I all for free healthcare, free education, not just high school, but college, equal rights across the board, all that stuff. So a lot of political beliefs and leanings and positions that I have, automatically I get called woke by people who use woke unironically. But then again, they use woke for literally anything they disagree with. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I know I used to be a Republican, and then I switched to Libertarian because I noticed Republicans were not like, they would say a lot of stuff that sounded libertarian, and that's the stuff I would agree with.
Yeah.
And then they would vote and act and legislate stuff that was not what they were talking about.
Right.
But-
Exactly. That's when it started breaking down for me too.
Yeah, and like, because I used to be like a member of the Tea Party from way back when, but even with libertarians, I feel like the Libertarian Party has become, and maybe it always was this way, a laughing stock, because now it seems to me like it's
Yeah.
a bunch of conspiracy theorists and people who are either racist or say a lot of stuff that I would consider to be racist, and so it's like, okay, and also when it comes to, depending on the libertarian, a lot of them are against like free healthcare because they all can't help but say taxation is theft, blah 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 blah. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, this is
Coercion.
this is where I don't fit in.
Yeah.
So I guess I just consider myself left leaning, I guess, but I don't really know. I was thinking about taking some political quizzes recently. I've done so on my live stream before, and I think I was more aligned with the Green Party, strangely
Yeah.
enough. But
Yeah, that's kind of where I hit as far as like, yeah, if they're looking to like put you in a US political party, I usually get put in with the Greens, even though they're not really well organized.
Right. Yeah.
Somewhere between Greens and like the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America.
Yeah.
It kind of lines up a little bit better.
And when it comes to socialism, it's a subject that I haven't really looked that much into. I just same way with capitalism. It's like you'll never see me defending capitalism or necessarily socialism, just certain programs that may be considered socialist that I will defend, like the free healthcare, free college. I would go even further with some of those issues. Like, I don't see a problem with just the government allotting food, for example, to
Oh yeah.
a bunch of households, or depending on the criteria that needed to be met. But I'd go a lot further in some areas. But I don't call myself a socialist because I'm like, I don't know. I might be, I might not be. Like, that's why I told Mike Creek I'm a quasi-capitalist. But
yeah, and a lot of that depends on, it's going to depend on like your understanding of like political theory and which definition you're going to work with, because obviously like the working definition in America of a liberal and a conservative is not the definitions that like Europe uses. Like a liberal a liberal in Western Europe and even Eastern Europe is going to be a conservative here. Yeah. So yeah, I don't, a lot of people still don't get that. I mean, hell, try and explain that to Jesus is Lord. I tried like 20 times and it was just like, yeah.
Yeah. It's
when I step on your foot and call you Jill, you say hello. Hello, Jill. I don't think he's talking to you. Like, he was not getting it. Stephanie says she hit 300 subs yesterday. Congratulations. Thanks to all here who have watched and clicked. You're welcome. Yeah.
Oh, congrats, Stephanie.
I don't think I've watched nearly enough, but that's because the dreaded algorithm isn't feeding me my friends' stuff.
Yeah. Even channels that I'm sub to sometimes don't get on my radar, and I'll think about them weeks later and see that they have like 5 new videos or streams out, and I'm like, well, thanks, YouTube.
Yeah, it's odd too, because like sometimes I'll get them late, Like I know
Yeah.
that Maya usually goes live 9:30 on Sunday nights, and I'll know it's there, but I'll usually be out of town. If I miss it, I don't even see the notification, and then it'll be like the next morning I'm doing stuff at work. There's a notification floating in the notification. I'm like, I didn't
Yeah,
get
that
like
happens to
why did
me.
like why are they playing? Why did they send me this an hour after they were done being live? Like there's clearly
Yeah,
a delay.
that happens a lot with me. I'll see somebody is about to premiere a video or a stream, and I'll hit the okay, notify me when this particular thing goes up, and it won't for until like 30 minutes after it's done. Sometimes it's the next day. It's like, thanks, YouTube. Appreciate you.
Joseph Canop, progressive industrial left faction of the Australian Labor Party. Yeah, that's probably me.
But all right, well, Jeff, I do appreciate you having me on here. Even though
Yeah,
it was
that's
Darth Dawkins, I actually appreciate the fact that it wasn't the same old Darth Dawkins. It's more of his theology and conspiracy theories than just, well, do you believe in God? Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, he wasn't but badgering somebody with the script. This time he was like bring up these guys
exactly.
like, well, you guys know eventually when we're a cashless society, that's when Satan pops up. Like, what?
It's like, whoa.
So every time I pay for something with my phone and Apple Pay, Satan gets a little tickle. Like, just a few more.
Satan's like, you fool.
Let me do this for Stephanie. Add as moderator. There you go, Steph. Link away.
Link thyself. So, do you have any plans coming up for your channel? Any streams or videos you're going to be covering?
Yeah, I'm going to take a look at some of Mr. Anderson's stuff and maybe cover some of that stuff, especially if he's talking to Made by Jim Bob now, because I've been circling some of their content a little bit and I've been kind of interested in maybe checking out like between Made by Jim Bob and Andrew Wilson. But Andrew Wilson spends an enormous amount of time badgering young women on that whatever podcast about their life choices.
Oh, I've seen that whatever podcast.
They're talking about how they pick men and stuff like that. I'm like, you can miss me with any of this stuff. This is just crazy.
Yeah.
Jeff's a liar. He just likes ignoring me. I can't help it that you go live at a time I'm usually like either winding down, getting ready for Monday, or I'm still hanging out at with my siblings and goofing off. That's always a problem. Sunday evening is like the worst time. Well, Saturday's not great either, but
it's kind of that way with Amy Newman's channel. She'll do a stream and it'll start at like 2 a.m. I'm like, holy crap. I don't know if she still does it. I haven't really been in the live stream sphere in a while, but I know for a while Amy Newman was always going live at like midnight.
Yeah, her stuff was really late for me. So there was a dull thud from above me. That's never a good sign when you live in an apartment.
It's a ghost. It's the devil.
Yeah.
It's Jordan Peterson.
I was talking about Apple Pay and Satan too much. And now, yeah.
Yeah.
The NSA's on it. He knows.
As soon as you get on your iPhone or Android, it's going to be some advertisement for Apple Pay.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. No, oh, God. Oh, I forgot. I left my phone here. Shit. If I check, I hardly ever get on Facebook. It's mostly to clear notifications. But today I will. When I get some downtime, I'll go through it and find out how many of our topics end up getting advertised back to me on Facebook. Damn thing. Are you interested in weed and smoked sausages? Like, you bet.
Do you want a whiskey that tastes like sausage?
Cape Cod brand tartar sauce goes great with Jim Beam. Like,
or
damn
if
it.
we donate to our fundraiser to make this product.
Are you looking for a socialist aligned tartar sauce? Tired of,
or it'll get the wrong impression. Are you tired of woke moralist socialists?
or just it sends me links to the Wikipedia. Are you interested in the totters? The tartar? Like,
You're like, yes, I am.
They sound like a delicious culture.
On the plus side, it might say, hey, would you like to watch these two women? Given the amount of subjects we've covered.
Not in Kentucky? Well, gay it up. Thanks, Facebook. I shall.
Thanks, Mark Zuckerberg.
try to hold your gag reflex through the slime. Yeah, no, I've seen it. I've seen a little bit of that. This stuff says thanks. Yep. Let's see where it was. Oh yeah, here it is. Go watch. Then watch the whole thing with Forrest, John, and Chuck on the line. Okay.
Chuck. I did see, actually, Stephanie, I saw your post, your community post from a couple days ago, giving props to Forrest and John Gleason. I think that's his name. Because there was this guy that called the line and didn't go by any pronouns. And so Forrest said, why? And then the guy, apparently the producer, handed Forrest a note that said that this caller identifies as a attack helicopter or some BS. And so Forrest and John actually did a really good job just beating him over the coals with actual science, not just saying you're dumb, but actually educating him in a very fun way. Really good watch. I think that's the first time I watched The Line in forever, just for that one segment. Good stuff.
Yeah, I'll check that one out. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Whiskey weed sausages now with extra tartar sauce. Yeah.
Your THC content.
Sausage and weed flavored booze. Good fuck. I don't know.
That's how it's made.
I'm probably this is going to gross people out because of my weird cooking habits, but my dinner will probably be it'll probably be chopped cabbage fried up in kielbasa.
What is kielbasa? Is that what you said?
Like the sausage? Yeah, kielbasa. It's like this is an uncured Polish kielbasa. So yeah, I'll just slice that into pieces, get that going in a tiny bit of olive oil, get that started, then throw a bunch of cabbage, chopped cabbage, multicolored, and then onion in there and garlic, and let that cook down in the sausage and the. You have to use a neutral oil like
guacamole,
like canola oil. Avocado, I think, can work. I usually use canola oil for that. Olive oil, I think olive oil can work. The one thing that does not work, though, and I've tried this before, never fry that sausage up in butter or the cabbage up in butter. It starts to get kind of bitter. It's kind of weird. I don't know why cabbage does that.
All I know is anytime I've cooked cabbage, God, it smells up the house. I'm like, oh, I'm about to eat this. It smells awful.
That's why I take a bag with me, and I've got a bag of pre-chopped cabbage, right? And then I've got the kielbasa, and I take it over to my folks' house and I cook it there. They love it. Yeah. Smart. My dad hates cabbage. My mom loves it though. I have to be careful because if she's around, she will get into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very simple. It's very easy to eat. But yeah, it's quite stinky. My other new favorite is a solution to an even more convenient way of getting comfort food into you. This is faster than mac and cheese and actually healthy. You use cannellini beans or navy beans or like a broad bean, some kind of white bean, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get a can of those or whatever you got available, and little olive oil in a pan. Throw those things in them. Get those things sautéing. You can season them if you need to, whatever you want to do with them, and then you add in maybe a vegetable. Throw in I like to throw in a little bit of spinach and kale, or you can even do chopped broccoli, whatever you want to do, just a little bit. Doesn't have to get super fancy. Throw that in there, and then throw in a couple scoops, like a quarter cup of pesto sauce. Cook that down, mix it, combine it well until it's all mixed in. Pour it off into a bowl. Salt, a little bit of Parmesan cheese on top. It's even easier to make than box mac and cheese, and it's infinitely better.
You're making me hungry.
I'm getting hungry. Yeah.
I like what Spooky said. Welcome to the cookery portion of the stream.
At least it followed a pattern. We were talking about drink, we were talking about weed, now we're talking about the munchies. So
we want to make sure we get targeted ads on all of these things.
Hang on here. Would you like a charcuterie board to smoke cheeses and meats with the heavy aroma of your parents' disappointment in you?
I'll take 2, please.
Yes, 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Anderson, just don't use mineral oil.
Yeah,
Why?
don't do that.
That's wise.
Well, Jefferson Spatchcock loves a thick, spicy oiled kielbasa. That's all I heard. I do. Unapologetically, the harder and oilier, the better.
It
So,
sounds
yeah.
like a very kinky video that I might would need an ID to view.
My channel now requires ID in the state of Kentucky. You're welcome, everyone.
Kentucky. That's the state. I couldn't remember the state. Yeah, you know,
All
all the
right.
Kentuckians are like screaming right now. There's no way they're going to pass this law. Please, God, don't let it pass.
They're all just looking into VPN services like NordVPN and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, this will get me past this,
Their
right?
sales are going to skyrocket. Shark VPN sales
Yeah.
went up 25%.
Have you guys seen the uptick in users signing up in Kentucky? Like, yeah, it's that porn ID bill. All right, folks. Well, with that, thank you everybody in the chat for being hilarious. Thanks to the moderators for doing your moderating. Mostly, it sounds like most of you guys just terrorized Maya because she was looking to toy with somebody and kept getting pulled away from her. But
sometimes that's fun in and of itself to just pick on other moderators.
Coco's, I think I'll get a kill boss after the stream. Yeah, do it. I literally just tuned in. What about my Commonwealth of Kentucky? I saw this yesterday. Apparently, they passed some kind of, you need an ID to view homosexual content, pornographic content online, and I think it passed. I think the governor signed it, or it passed with enough of a majority she didn't have to. So yeah, it's a weird one. I heard about it just yesterday. I don't know if it's finalized yet, or if it will be soon.
Yeah,
so
I'm in the same boat. I just heard about it yesterday or maybe the day before.
Yeah, but it's an odd one because I think everybody that I heard from them, they're like, how on earth are they even going to enforce this? Like, how does this work? And I saw snippets that they were reading from it, and the language is really vague. And I'm like,
that does not surprise me. They want some loopholes, just so they can go ahead and silence everything that they are like. Oh wait. Even though it was a man and a woman, you're a man and you're watching another man. Therefore, we're going to consider that as homosexual. So you're banned from watching it, or you have to give us an ID.
Yeah,
for whatever reason.
Yeah, Steph says, I doubt Bashir would sign that. I doubted it too. I think that some kind of I don't know how Kentucky, how the legislature works on there. If they pass it with a big enough majority, if it just bypasses the governor. One of those kind of things or those tricks where she could try to veto it like the president can at certain points, but it's like, it's got too much support. If the president tries to do that, they can just override it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Who knows? I don't know if that's I don't know how that's going to affect things in Kentucky going forward and how Kentucky's even going to pay to administer that. But
that's a good question. Yeah. Even if it gets passed by some divine miracle, how are they going to implement it? What are the logistics of it?
Yeah, as somebody who's been in civil service for a little while in various capacities, anytime I see laws like that get passed, especially when it gets passed in the states where they've got they try to strip their government down to practically nothing, and then they're gonna try to achieve this lift of administering like an ID kind of thing. Like, how are you going to do that? You've cut government services to the bone, but you're going to pay money to do this,
And also, what is the point of needing an ID for it? I just don't see the reason. I feel like there has to be some underlying reason for them needing an ID. I don't know if it's just to discourage viewing of that sort of content, or if it's to collect data, perhaps to sell to some third party.
My guess would be that in a way it would discourage any content providers from offering that to viewers in the state somehow, which is just
like deterrent.
Yeah, and it would depend. I'd have to read the legislation, but it wouldn't surprise me if they tried to work in something where it's going to get paid for by penalizing companies that don't. So they can go. It's sort of, in a way, it's an indirect sin tax. They can go after porn sites that don't have the ID up that Kentucky needs. So
we're living in some really strange times.
Really weird. You'd think that they'd be more interested in dealing with kids who don't have enough to eat, rather than there's too many of you out there jerking it to the wrong stuff, and you know who we're talking to.
Yeah, we'll put all of our energy into that, but as far as your student debt goes, you're screwed.
Yeah, F off.
But
this is America. You have to take care of yourself, except for those parts where we'll take care of it for you.
Right, which is never the good parts.
which is shutting down Pornhub. I'm like, what? There goes my Saturday night.
There goes my Monday night, my Tuesday night. my
Chuck, we all
Thursday
knew
night.
we all knew what you meant when you talked about date night. We knew you were just alone.
Her name is
All right, well-
Angela.
Don't tell her about my other Henrietta. Okay. Well, I guess with that, folks, we're gonna get out of here. I'm just gonna end this now. Thank you,
Have a
everybody.
good one.
Take care.
Bye-bye.